AM 1100.
Continuing coverage coming up at the bottom of the hour. Bulletins at 1. News Radio, WTAM 1100. On News Radio, WTAM 1100.
You put your stylus in, you put your stylus out. You put your stylus in and you punch Buchanan out. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You put the Gore votes in, you put the Bush votes out. You put the Gore votes in and you want another count. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You bring the lawyers in, you drag the whole thing out. You bring the lawyers in and you put it all in doubt. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You let your judges spin, you let your pundits spout. You let your judges spin and your people whine and pout. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about.
Say, this guy's pretty good.
You do the Palm Beach pokey.
Sing it.
You do the Palm Beach pokey. You do the Palm Beach pokey. And that's what it's all about.
And that's what everything's been about for the past month. Politics, politics, politics. Broadcasting live from beautiful downtown Cleveland, high atop the industrial flats. You want to give us a call, 216-578-1100. Toll-free, 888-723-WTAM. Also, throughout the evening, I have 7 pair of tickets to the WTAM movie premiere of Castaway. You know, that Tom Hanks movie where he's stuck on an island like that gay guy Richard was on Survivor? Except that I guess he's all by himself and he's not gay. Or, well, I don't know, maybe he is gay. He looks kind of gay with his shirt off running around on an island. Actually, it looks like Tom Hanks has packed on quite a few pounds. Maybe he did that on purpose, I don't know. Anyway, them pairs of tickets are Wednesday the 20th at Cinemark in Valley View. And I'll let you know. Don't just be calling for those now. I'll let you know throughout the course of the evening when you can win those. I want to start off with a story. What do you say? Would you kids like to hear a story? I'd like to tell one. Good board op Gary and I were at a little watering hole in Tremont last night called Edison's. And we're sitting in the corner minding our own business, complaining about our boss or whatever the heck we were doing. And we're sitting there and 2 lovely young ladies came in and sat down next to us. Well, Gary had a sketch pad in front of him, so the woman wanted herself sketched. Gary's not a very good sketcher. He just happened to borrow someone else's sketch pad. And he's drawing this woman with, it looked like double chins. And, I mean, this is an attractive young lady on the prowl, I could tell. Now, I'm engaged, but I'm a big tease, so I don't let on. So we're chumming it up, and the witticisms are flying, and suddenly then they have to go. Their cab's there. And so they get in the cab and leave. And the bar manager says, well, that used to be my roommate. I thought they were going to come in and visit, and they didn't even stay long enough to drink their drink. I said, but she didn't even touch her drink. What is her drink? She said, it's Stoli and soda and olive juice. I tried a sip of it. It was simply awful, and I judge people on what they drink. And if you drink something simply awful, I thought, yeah, I don't know about that. So I ate her olives. There were 2 olives on a little stick in there. Well, apparently the bar manager doesn't know a whole lot about how to buy olives. She bought the olives with the pits in them. So I'm eating these olives and careful, and I don't think pits are the kind of thing you want to have in a bar because, well, somebody might choke on it or something. But I enjoyed the olives just so much. And then suddenly, the 2 young ladies are back. And I said to the bar manager, I said, Kimmy, quick. She said, what? She said, she won't even notice if you sipped out of her drink. I said, no, I ate the olives. So she had to quick rush and put 2 more of those olives with pits in them on one of them little sticks and put it in the glass. So they came back in, and I said, gee, that didn't take long, and they introduced themselves, Brittany and Rachel, I believe. And Gary now had thrown away the piece of paper that he was trying to sketch on, and she insisted on another sketch. So he's trying to sketch in the fashion that Gary's, well, not a very good sketcher. And this time he made her eyes too big. I said, well, at least you put both of them on her face this time, instead of one was missing or something the last time. I think he's in his Picasso phase. Strangest thing, Picasso had blue periods. Versus what other kind of periods? Use your imagination. Picasso was a man. So we get to talking more and more, and they're chumming up and friendly, and the woman sitting on the, see, it was me in the corner, Gary right next to me, to my left. The one woman, Brittany, that was her name, to the left of Gary, and then that Rachel girl over on the other side with some red fuzzy hat on, sitting there like a wallflower, not included in the conversation at all. And the girl right next to Gary, Brittany, brings up politics. Now, Gary's had a couple of adult beverages, and at this point he starts pounding on the bar and saying, no, no politics, don't talk politics. No, no politics, because you know what happens when you talk politics or religion in a bar. Well, there's bound to be an argument of some sort. And I figured, well, I'll roll up my sleeves. I don't care if there's an argument or not. She's not going to be able to take me. So we're arguing back and forth, and she says, I'll bet I can guess who you voted for. I said, okay. Why don't you guess who Gary voted for first? And she says, I have to ask you a couple of questions. She said something like, how old are you? And I think he said, well, maybe the question, whatever the first question was is irrelevant. The second question was, she said, do you want lower taxes? Well, now that's a ringer for a question, because how dumb would you be if you said no? Well, apparently a lot of people who voted for Al Gore are that dumb, but that's neither here nor there. And he said, yes, I want lower taxes. And she said, you voted for Bush. And he said, no, I did not. And he did not volunteer who he did vote for. And I said, I voted for Bush. You don't have to ask me any silly questions. I'll just come out and tell you. And we had a rousing debate back and forth, which I was starting to win, and I could tell because she was becoming irritated. And she talked about those damned Republicans. And I cannot use the language on the radio, or just choose to not use the language on the radio. I could get away with it. I said, what do you think of Rush Limbaugh? I said, maybe not his opinions, his abilities as a broadcaster, which I do not think anyone can question his abilities as a broadcaster. He's extremely good at what he does, whether you believe him or not. He is an accomplished broadcaster, and that is not open to debate. And she said, oh, he's just a big, fat a-hole. I said, wait a minute, okay. So you summed up an entire man's career into 3 words, a big, fat a-hole. I said, because he's overweight, that makes him an a-hole? Or because you disagree with his opinions, and his weight really doesn't have anything to do with anything at all if he's on the radio, now does it? You can't see the man on the radio when he's broadcasting from noon to triv here on the big one. So what does it matter? Well, obviously she hadn't listened, and I got the impression that she's probably not a very informed person. Yes, a young lovely sipping on her ucky drink of Stoli. Now, Stoli, don't get me wrong, one of my favorite vodkas. Grey Goose is right up there, too. Kettle One. Stoli's a good quality vodka if you don't want to go too overpriced, but not with soda and olive juice. I prefer a Cape Codder myself. Cranberry juice and a lime. The argument starts getting rougher and ruder, and finally, Gary says, well, I voted for Nader. And I said, oh, my God, you voted for Ralph Nader. And this woman, incensed, looked at me and said, I voted for Ralph Nader, too. Now I know I've got her, because I'm thinking she's about 25, just a guess, give or take, maybe 23, maybe 27, I don't know. And I looked her square in the peepers and said, yeah? And what was Ralph Nader's claim to fame? What? I said, what was Ralph Nader's claim to fame? Because my big argument here was the whole third-party system to me. They didn't even get enough percentage of votes to get federal money next time. And I have voted third party in the past, and it seems to me that my candidate never wins. And my argument with her was that I did not throw away my vote, and that I'm beginning to think that those who vote third party, if they're going to get 1% of the total vote, are maybe throwing away their vote, except that I said, God bless you, lady, that you don't know what Nader did, but that you won the election for George W. Bush by taking away Gore votes. Now, tell me what Ralph Nader's claim to fame was. What do you mean? I said, what do you mean, what do I mean? What's he most famous for? Can you name one of his several books he's written? Now I start winning, I'm on a roll. I start throwing in ringer questions of my own. What does he drive? Because Ralph Nader doesn't drive at all. He does not. And to my knowledge, has never had a driver's license, never possessed one. How many pairs of shoes does he own? Where does he live? How did he make all his money? What's his original claim to fame? Having won the argument at this point, I thought maybe I could be gracious and buy her another ucky drink of Stoli and soda and olive juice, but in deciding against it, I did not bother telling her. And I have to assume that you do know, and that you could name. Could you name 2 of the books that Ralph Nader's written and what they were about? I'm not going to tell you. I'll just wait for a caller to call and tell me, because I already know. Rob knows. Rob's what, 25? You're 25, Rob? So you know. So this young lady could have known. I looked at her and I says, you voted for a person that you know absolutely nothing about. You know absolutely nothing about Ralph Nader, and yet you voted for him. Why? And she said, because of the two-party system, and they're both a couple of, and she used some more words that I cannot repeat on the radio. And I'm thinking, how many other people are there out there that voted for Ralph Nader, or Pat Buchanan, or Harry Brown, just because it's an option, a third party, and they know nothing about their candidate whatsoever? And she said, well, don't get me wrong. I still like you. Now is the time I completely pulled the rug out from underneath her. I said, gee. And I could tell. I mean, the only reason she was having this conversation with me was because she had hot pants. Her and her girlfriend came back to that bar because they said cabs normally take an hour. And so they were upset that the cab only took 5 minutes. So they paid the cab driver enough money to go back downtown and came back to the bar. Well, they came back to the bar because they wanted to get laid. I'm certain of it. And they were chumming up to Gary and me because they thought they'd get some action. So at this point, after having won the argument, I looked at her square in the peepers again and said, I'll be sure to tell my fiancée that when she shows up. Now, at this point, I've won the argument, and she's not going to get laid. Double trouble there for her. And suddenly conversation ceases, and she talks to her girlfriend, and not to me at all. And well, then my fiancée came in, and we had to go in back and look at a dog that we got. We got a dog. And the man who owns the bar had this dog, and he had it in his office, and we went back there. We played with the dog for, I don't know, 20 minutes. Came back up into the front of the bar. Oh, and before I went back there, right after I had told her I have a fiancé, I reached in my coat pocket, and I carry some promotional photos, some headshots. And I filled it out. I said, Brittany, we agree to disagree. And a little heart on the other side. Love, Gilly. And handed it to her. Just like the final, just like push the bayonet in and then twist. And she looked at it and went, ha ha, when are you on? 3 to 5 in the morning? I said, no, I'm on all over the place. I guess you just have to tune in, but maybe you're not well-informed enough to want to listen to talk radio. And my fiancé came in, then we went and played with the dog. When we came back, up into the front of the bar, there sits Gary, guarding our stools, our chairs. But the two young lovelies that I guess together had as much political knowledge as a box of doorknobs had vanished. They were gone, disappeared. Goodbye, adios. But there sat Gary with a big smile on his face, holding Brittany's business card with what on it? Her phone number. Score! Cha-ching! Good going, Gary Schwartz. Now just follow up on it, man. Just because she has nothing but good looks from the neck up doesn't mean you should worry about what's not below the neck. Let's just put it that way. And he said, well, they did say to say goodbye to you, Rick. They said goodbye. I said, well, that's very nice. And we changed the conversation and talked about something else. And I just thought, you know, I'd tell that little story to you. To what end? I don't know. I suppose somebody will tell me what Ralph Nader did. I see already up here. Ralph Nader and third parties. Interview Gorehead on TV today. Politics. Knows Ralph Nader books. An unknown on the toll-free, which will remain ringing. Have a couple of lines open. I cannot believe that someone would vote for a third party and have no idea whatsoever what that person did. They just wanted a third party. That's insanity. Channel 3 weather from Marshall McPeak tonight. Clear. Bring in the brass monkey, kids. It's going down to 18. Tomorrow, cloudy, 38. Currently, 27 degrees in Cleveland, 27 degrees. Well, it was nice to be hit on. Of course, there was something said afterwards once she realized, and when my fiancée came in, and she said one last comment. She said something about something about Bush, and why did I vote for Bush? And I said, because maybe I'm older and wiser. And she looked at me and went, yeah, older, maybe. Well, sure, lady. Try and insult me on my appearance, too. And all you know about Rush Limbaugh is, what, you saw a picture of him before he lost some weight? Yeah, attractive young lady. Nothing from the neck up when it came to politics, but a bucket of mush.
No matter what, you can use 480 westbound.
Someone knows Marianne, or she's got her ears on. Well, call on up and either come on the air or give Steph, my screener, your phone number so we can give it out again. Somebody might have a haunted house. In fact, I've got a bid in on a house that I'm hoping to find out tomorrow, and that house we believe is haunted. Well, I'll be calling Marianne myself. Maybe we'll do a remote from the house. That would be an interesting program, wouldn't it? And speaking of Wills and the Cavs and all that, I'll be on after the Cavs game Tuesday night from 11 to 1. That's only 2 days away from the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. Are we going to count the military votes on the eve of Pearl Harbor, perhaps? Toll free or on the big one?
How you doing, Gilly?
Good, Bob.
Did you get an answer on the on Ralph Nader?
Well, someone was up on the big board and they got impatient and went away, and I knew the answer. I just wanted to call her to say so.
Was it unsafe at any speed?
That's right. That's what his big claim to fame was, trying to poo-poo the Chevrolet Corvair, saying it was unsafe.
Right. Was the name Brittany and Rachel?
Yes.
I know again. I like to buy him a drink. I agree 100% about Rush Limbaugh. I mean.
Well, what about Ralph Nader?
Well, Ralph Nader, he's more of a gentleman. I'll be brief because I know we're closer than it is. Limbaugh is anti-labor, he's anti-union, and my parents, my grandparents, who are armor in the service, are liberals. He thinks they're like third-class citizens. Now, I'm a conservative person, but he has degraded everybody from FDR to JFK and their family, and the guy should take a look in the mirror. He is a big time.
What was the Al Franken book? Rush Limbaugh's a big fat pig or something like that.
Well, I don't know, but I'm not into calling people names, but the guy is definitely, and I heard him years ago when he first started out. He said if he could get somebody to work for $2 an hour, that's okay with him. The guy's no good.
But he's a great broadcaster.
He's like Reagan, the great BSer.
All right, Bob, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, you have to consider that that's Rush Limbaugh's job, is to not be wishy-washy and sit on the fence. Say someone were liberal on the radio, they would be way far over on the left, wouldn't they? I happen to think that I'm somewhere middle of the road. That's my opinion. I happen to think that I try to just be fair. And that's that.
Cleveland's only news radio. Your official weather station. The home of the Indians, Cavaliers, and Browns fans. This is the big one. Now, continuing coverage on News Radio, WTAM 1100, Cleveland.
The arguments go on whether to hand count some 14,000 Florida ballots. Good evening. I'm Cliff Bakley. This is the 9:30 report on News Radio, WTAM 1100. Details coming up. Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
Not a whole lot of clouds out there. That's going to make it cold tonight, the low 18.
Currently 26 degrees at your official weather station, News Radio, WTAM 1100. The legal wrangling over the results of the Florida election continues tonight in a Leon County Circuit Court in Tallahassee. At issue, the manual recount of 14,000 ballots in Palm Beach and Miami-Dade counties. During testimony, Bush attorney Irvin Terrell questions Miami-Dade vote count Republican observer Thomas Spencer.
Did you observe any dropping of precinct trays?
Yes, on the 19th, an entire tray of ballots from precinct 214, is my recollection, fell and splashed all over the floor and was picked up and then put back in the tray in order.
Judge Sanders Sauls is listening to final arguments at this hour. No word when there will be a ruling. Cleveland police were tipped off today that Byron Young was near his East Side home. Cops showed up. He'd been cut on the neck. An EMS squad took the father of a murdered 3-year-old girl to Meridia Huron Hospital for treatment. He's been released and is now in police custody, undergoing questioning about the Thursday night stabbing that led to the killing of his 3-year-old daughter, Danielle Brantley. A proud day in Olmsted Falls, where residents like Carol Bentley are celebrating their state champion football team.
I'm very glad to see it.
Continuing coverage coming up at the top of the hour. Bulletins at 1. News Radio, WTAM 1100.
Dr. Seuss goes to Florida. Can we count them with our nose? Can we count them with our toes? Shall we count them with a band? Shall we count them all by hand? If I do not like the count, I will simply throw them out. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like them, Al Gore I am. Can we change these numbers here? Can we change them? Calm my fears. What do you mean W has won? This is not fair. This is not fun. Let's count them upside down this time. Let's count until the state is mine. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I'm really ticked. I'm in a snit. You have not heard the last of it. I'll count the ballots one by one and hold each one up to the sun. I'll count, recount, and count some more. You'll grow to hate this little chore, but I will not, cannot let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I won't leave office. My desk chair to my rear. Tipper, Hillary, and Bubba, too, all telling me that I should sue. We'll recount the Electoral College. We'll find the Electoral College vial, recount the votes until I smile. We do not want this vote to stand. We do not like it, Al Gore I am. How shall we count this ballot box? Let's count it staining in our socks. Shall we count this one in a tree? And who shall count it, you or me? We cannot count enough. We must not stop. We must be tough. I do not want this vote to stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I've counted till my fingers bleed and still cannot fulfill my counting need. I'll count the tiles on the floor. I'll count and count and count some more. And I will not say that I'm done until the counting says I've won. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. What's that? What are you trying to say? You think the current count should stay? You do not like my counting scheme? It makes you tense, gives you bad dreams. Foolish people. You're wrong, you'll see. Your only care should be for me. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it. And Al Gore I am.
Is that Gilmour again?
Yes.
Guy's got a lot of intensity.
That is I, Rick Gilmour.
Media darling.
Thank you just so much. Doctor of Broadcasting, emanating live from downtown Cleveland. And it's time right now to give away two pair, not just one, two pair of tickets to the WTAM movie premiere of Castaway. That's Wednesday the 20th at Cinemark in Valley View. You know that one with 24 different screens? So just be the 11th and 12th callers right now on the contest lines at 578-1111 in the 216 area code. And you too can go, courtesy of WTAM 1100, to our exclusive screening, the movie premiere of Castaway, the film with Tom Hanks as some guy some executive type who got lost and ended up on an island. Jesse in Strongsville, you're on the air.
Hi, Rick Gilmour.
Hello.
I just have to tell you that I never knew that Rush Limbaugh was fat.
Well, see, you wouldn't know because you just listen to the radio.
And it doesn't change my image of him.
You don't like him?
No, I love him.
I think that he's one of the greatest broadcasters we have, and I say disagree or agree with him. I would suggest that anyone who ever wants to get involved in broadcasting should at least at some point in their life spend a week listening to Rush Limbaugh.
He's a very smart person. But I have a riddle for you.
Okay.
All right, listen close.
Mm-hmm.
If you were snowboarding down a wave and the wheels fell off, how many pancakes would die in obscurity?
Gee, I don't know. Do you have the answer?
Yes, I do.
Well, what would that be?
Well, why don't you figure it out for yourself?
Okay, I will. Anything else?
No, that's it for tonight.
All right, thank you very much. Interesting riddle from that young man. I have no idea what the hell it meant. It's like who holds the American League record for the most ground rule doubles hit by a pinch-hitting switch hitter batting left-handed in the third inning of the second game of a rain-delayed twilight doubleheader. Do you know the answer to that, Jesse? In Strongsville? I have the answer. It's who gives a damn? That's the answer to that. Paul, you're next.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, I just wanted to say that if Rush Limbaugh were a woman, I'd make sweet hot love to him.
Wow. Well, you know, if I were gay, I'd do me. Nick, you're next.
Gee, it's kind of hard to follow, Rick.
Well, there were three Strongsvilles. I think the other two Strongsvilles were both calling from the same home.
And indulging in the same substance, whatever it was. Anyway,
I don't know. Give me a little of that. It's a Sunday night.
Sure. I wanted to tell you I enjoy when you manage to get on the radio. I've listened to you off and on for a while.
Well, thank you much.
I enjoy it very much. I am one of those rare breeds. I'm a registered libertarian.
Well, there aren't many of those.
That's right. We can't even get up a kegger. And as such, I know a lot about wasting votes. I voted for Andre Maru in 92 and Harry Brown in 96. This year I couldn't stomach it. And
I voted for Ross Perot in 92 and Harry Brown in 96.
Well, and, you know, as much as I would like to think that I can see on the news shows that some of our viewpoints are getting around and becoming part of the national discourse, we're light years away from actually winning anything. And Gore and Bush both hold their own particular terrors for me, but I'm a lot more afraid of Gore simply because of the determination he has. So I cast my lot with Bush this time. One thing I want to point out, I don't think I've heard anybody say it, that there's a lot of loose talk going on around about the election being stolen. It's important to remember that the election will not have been stolen once the legal process is completed and the court's decided that, yes, it will go forward with a count, or no, what we've got is where we're going to be, because that's what we all subscribe to here in the United States, and we choose to live under this legal system. So once the legal machinations have gone all the way through, the election is over and done with and not stolen, and I think that will go a long way if we remember that towards...
yes, you're speaking about common sense. Did you know common sense is dead?
Correct.
Yeah, in fact, I have its tragic obituary somewhere in my pile of papers, and perhaps I shall read it. But yes, common sense unfortunately passed away, and that's the truth. No one's stealing any election either way. We're doing all this as clearly and legally as we can, and it takes some time. And, of course, some folks... first the Gore camp wanted to drag it out forever, and now they're complaining that it's not going fast enough. I just don't seem to understand what particular take they have on this, other than they just want to win at any cost.
Precisely. Well, thanks for taking time.
Hey, you're more than welcome. How about this article? And I found this interesting, and this is from Beaver, Pennsylvania. You ever been to Beaver, Pennsylvania? It's right near Intercourse, Pennsylvania, I believe. Officials in Beaver and Greene counties say they want to know why so many people did not vote for president when they cast their ballot on Election Day. About 6% of voters in Beaver County and 7% of voters in Greene County did not vote for president. This is about 6 to 7 times higher than the national average. The counties just began using a computerized touchscreen voting system. The president of the company that created the voting system says special state requirements might make the voting system confusing to some voters. Is this the elderly and the infirmed and the folks that can barely drive there and back, but somehow can cast their ballot and complain about it later? Jack Goebel, president of the Unilect Corporation, said his company will work to fix the problem. He apologized for the confusion. Well, it's a possibility that maybe it's just addled people. Same thing that happened in... Now, why is it if it happens in Florida, my God, we have to recount 10,000 votes? Because could it be possible, could it be possible that someone would go into a voting booth and not vote for president? Look at how close this vote was this time. Isn't it entirely possible that someone said, you know what, I don't like either one of these guys, so I'm not going to vote for anybody for president, and I don't know anything about Ralph Nader. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot. Most of the Nader voters voted for him but don't know anything about him anyway. We had one book named that Ralph Nader wrote. Could you come up with another one? Wasn't another one Small on Safety? Am I mistaken, or was that not written by Ralph Nader? There was a book called Small Wonder about the Volkswagen Beetle, and then there was a book called Small on Safety about how the Volkswagen Beetle and the Chevrolet Corvair, of course, from the other book, Unsafe at Any Speed, should both be removed from the American roadways. And I've said dozens of times that if you have a car in Europe and you screw up, guess what? It's driver error. Over here, every car has to have a low center of gravity, will never flip over, you'll not die or get hurt in a crash. It has to be the car's fault to be able to... It's not the car's fault all the time. Sometimes it's the driver's fault. Why do they still make the Jeep Wrangler? Jeep Wrangler, you know, the Jeep I'm talking about, the old-fashioned Jeep. It's been around since World War II. GP, General Purpose, shortened to Jeep. And it flops over. And if you don't know what you're doing, Cook and Clack suggested that young drivers not drive a Jeep because it has a high center of gravity and handles funny. Well, it doesn't handle that funny. All it takes is common sense, which unfortunately passed away. Common sense is gone. Common Sense, a.k.a. CS, lived a long life but died from heart failure at the brink of the millennium. No one really knows how old he was, since his birth records were long ago lost in bureaucratic red tape. He selflessly devoted his life to service in schools, hospitals, homes, factories, and offices, helping folks get their jobs done without fanfare or foolishness. For decades, petty rules, silly laws, and frivolous lawsuits held no power over CS. He was credited with cultivating such valued lessons as to know when to come in out of the rain, the early bird gets the worm, and life is not always fair. Common Sense lived by simple, sound financial policies. Do not spend more than you earn. And reliable parenting strategies. The adults are in charge, not the children. A veteran of the Industrial Revolution, the Great Depression, and the Technological Revolution, CS survived cultural and educational trends, including feminism, body piercing, whole language, and new math. But his health declined when he became infected with the "if it only helps one person, it's worth it" virus. In recent decades, his waning strength proved no match for the ravages of overbearing federal regulation. He watched in pain as good people became ruled by self-seeking lawyers and enlightened auditors. His health rapidly deteriorated when schools endlessly implemented zero-tolerance policies, reports of 6-year-old boys charged with sexual harassment for kissing a classmate, a teen suspended for taking a swig of mouthwash after lunch, and a teacher fired for reprimanding an unruly student. Finally, Common Sense lost his will to live as the Ten Commandments became contraband, churches became businesses, criminals received better treatment than victims, and federal judges stuck their noses in everything from Boy Scouts to professional sports. As the end neared, Common Sense drifted in and out of logic, but was kept informed of developments regarding questionable regulations for asbestos low-flow toilets, smart guns, the nurturing of prohibition laws, and mandatory airbags. Finally, when told that the Homeowners Association restricted exterior furniture only to that which enhanced property values, he breathed his last. Common Sense was preceded in death by his parents, Truth and Trust, his wife, Discretion, his daughter, Responsibility, and his son, Reason. He is survived by 3 stepbrothers, Rights, Tolerance, and Whiner. Not many attended his funeral because so few realized he was gone.
History in the making. Hear it live. Continuing in-depth team coverage of the 2000 votes on News Radio, WTAM 1100.
When the moment has to be truly special, just remember these love letters. J.B. Rock.
Grandchildren about one of the closest elections ever, because you heard it on News Radio, WTAM 1100.
AM 1100. Good board operator Rob informs me that a man named Lowell Dodge wrote the book Small on Safety about the Volkswagen Beetle, not Ralph Nader. Well, of course, he was probably trying to sell more Dodges. Maybe he was one of the Dodge brothers. Channel 3 weather from Marshall McPeak. Tonight, clear. Bring in the monkey. If it's brass, it'll freeze its, well, say no more. It's euphemism off. 18 for a low. No clouds out there. That's what happens. The clouds go away and the heat goes away. Let's look ahead, shall we? Sure. Tomorrow, high 38 under cloudy skies. Currently 26 degrees in Cleveland, 26 degrees. With the wind chill, it feels damned cold. How's that? Matt and Menor, you're on the big one. Hello. Yes.
Hey, this is Matt from Menor. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm just calling because of that bar story you told earlier.
Yeah.
And I'm 24 years old, and I did a survey of my own.
Excellent, excellent.
I asked my coworkers, my friends, I think they're all idiots anyway. They decided to tell me who they would vote for. Well, none of them voted. Out of 30 people, none of them voted.
Now, isn't that a shame right there?
Well, yes, it is. All of them said they would vote for Al Gore.
And how old are most of those coworkers? Under
23, 24, 25.
Under 30.
Yeah.
Well,
everybody's under 30.
You know what Churchill said, to be young and not be a liberal is to have no heart, and to be old and not be a conservative is to have no brain.
Yeah, well,
So they are,
You have to know who you're voting for. Is the worst part about it is none of these people know a damn thing about either of these candidates.
Did they know that Al Gore was the vice president?
Well, I'd give them that. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'll give them that.
And they don't know that Al Gore, whose sister died of lung cancer, his daddy was a tobacco farmer. They probably don't know that.
I would doubt that.
There's a lot of little things that they don't know. They probably never went to GoreWillSayAnything.com.
I wouldn't think so. I don't think these guys even get on the internet.
In fact, I should have Rob, my board operator, go to AlGoreRules.com, and they have a picture of Al Gore, and they have sound. And you can press on the icon, and it'll have Al Gore saying, kiss me, and making smoochy noises. It's kind of disgusting. Maybe we shouldn't go there, but I think it's fun.
No. Well, it drives me nuts because you talk about this girl who wanted to vote for Ralph Nader, which is ridiculous that she doesn't know a thing about him.
Not a thing. She couldn't tell me anything. I couldn't even get consumer advocate out of her.
Well, I have to confess that, I know everything about George Bush and I know everything about Al Gore, and the reason is my dad, I take his advice like I would take advice from God. But that's not why I'm a conservative. I believe in George Bush. I think he's the right man for the job out of these candidates. But you ask anybody from, voting age 18 to 25, and they're not going to vote for George Bush. And they would definitely...
Kiss me, I'm Al Gore.
There it is. Kiss me, I'm Al Gore. Hang on just a sec. We'll play it again. You're going to want to hear this if you've never heard it.
Well, don't stop now.
And then he sticks his tongue in and out. All right.
I'm Al Gore.
That's enough of that. All right. Now, Matt, yes, you were saying. These people don't know anything about the candidates?
No. I mean, they love Clinton because he got oral sex in the Oval Office. These kind of people, they think that's a great thing.
They vote for all the wrong reasons. What's interesting is a lot of younger people, and my fiance is a younger person. She's 23, and the only reason that she was involved and interested in politics is because it's part of my job. I mean, I have to watch news programs. I have no choice. I have to read the newspaper. I have to read magazines. It's research.
You turn around to it.
Yep. All of a sudden, she said, she never registered to vote because she was afraid of jury duty. And apparently, I guess in some counties that you don't even get called for jury duty, but she says, damn it, she says, I wished I had registered to vote because I would have wanted to have voted this time. And she was a Bush supporter. And she judged it by common sense and watching the debates and listening to who sounds like they're lying and who doesn't sound like they're lying. And I think you can make an obvious choice just from that. I saw different Al Gores. I saw the real Al Gore in the first debate. Then a toned down Al Gore, and then the real Al Gore again later. They keep talking about what an affable character Al Gore is and what a great sense of humor he's got. Maybe if he would have shown a little of that, maybe he would have gotten more votes.
Well, I have to say that I'm damn glad that these people didn't go out and vote, because if they did, they'd be voting for all the wrong reasons. And
well, look at the people that voted for Bill Clinton because they said, he's cool. He went on Arsenio Hall and played the saxophone. Well, that's no reason to vote for a man for president.
Well, you'll see on talk shows people who did not vote for Clinton and had to meet Clinton, celebrities would say that you can't help but like this guy. If you're hanging out with this guy, he is like your best friend. You can't not like him if you're just hanging out with him.
Well, apparently he did some hanging out in the Oral Office. Al Gore was on 60 Minutes. And he said, when all the processes are done, if Bush is president, then, quote, he'll be my president, he'll be America's president. And, of course, the 60 Minutes interview is part of Gore's ongoing efforts to use the media to try and maintain public patience while the battle still goes on in Florida.
Definitely.
And I think you're right. And this is why I am pro-choice, because I say, in some regards, I don't want some people bringing babies into the world that they aren't going to love or aren't going to care about. And some people maybe should not vote because they would be voting for all the wrong reasons, and maybe we should qualify our statements in the future, Matt, when I sit on the radio and say, damn it, your vote does count and get out there and vote. Well, maybe it should be, if you're a smart, well-informed voter, get out there and vote. And if you're a nincompoop, stay home.
Right. Well, you should be glad that these young people aren't voting, I'll tell you that much.
Well, that sounds to me like you had a learning experience from these folks, if nothing else.
Well, I'll do the exact same thing in 4 years, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
Just to see where they are now.
Try it in 2 years and see if anybody even knows who the senator is. How about that?
All right.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, you're more than welcome. Okay, well, I'm getting an education as well. Toll free, you're on WTAM 1100.
Is this Gilmour?
Yes.
Hi.
Where are you calling from?
Canton, Ohio.
Oh, okay, welcome.
Thank you. I enjoy listening to you when I get a chance. I don't get too often. But anyhow, what I wanted to bring up is a couple things. Number one, these people that call in and knock Rush Limbaugh, I would be willing to bet money in the first place. They don't even listen to him. They don't know what he is about. They're just repeating what somebody else told them. And the other thing, and another thing on that same line is, if you notice, very few people that call in and cut down Rush Limbaugh don't do it on the basis of what information he gives out, what he talks about, and that. It's usually a personal attack on him.
Yeah, he's pompous or he's fat or something like that.
They don't have any facts to go against him, so they do the typical liberal thing. They go ahead and they cut him down because of different things, nothing according to what he's talking about.
What's interesting about Rush is that I have listened to Rush on and off for a number of years, and it's refreshing to be able to hear him go on the air and still get his message out and yet be able to joke around and call himself El Rushbo and that type of thing, because I remember a Rush Limbaugh of many years ago that was all business and that's that, and I suppose he had to be, because otherwise people would think he was a fool. And now that they know he's no fool, now he can at least lighten up a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing that gets me is, and all these liberal comedians doing that, they called George Bush dumb. And yet, who was it that failed in college? It wasn't Bush, it was Al Gore.
Al Gore flunked out of divinity school.
Divinity school. And I made up this joke. It's clean. If you want to hear about why Al Gore flunked out of divinity school.
Why is that?
Because the teachers realized that he was such a darn liar, he would never make a preacher, but he'd make a hell of a politician.
That's a possibility. And, you know, Rush Limbaugh has lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
No, we'll give him that.
Yeah, he has.
And George W. Bush has a business MBA, a business degree from Harvard.
Yeah.
And so I don't really think he's dumb. Maybe he's not the world's most articulate orator.
Well, he's not as slick. He's not slick like Clinton and even what Gore is trying to be. He comes across honest. He admits that he's not that he does a malaprop here and there and stuff like that. But the thing is, the man is, to me, is much more honest than Al Gore. He's, as far as I know, Bush never invented anything yet. And it just seems that I wonder about people who, if they're listening with their head when they listen to these guys.
No, you know, and I got to run. Thanks for checking in. I do not think that most people make a decision with their head. I do not think that FDR would be electable in this day and age. He's crippled. When was the last bald president we had? I believe it was Eisenhower. Gee, I liked Ike. Do you think Eisenhower could be elected nowadays? Gee, he's bald. Why would we elect a bald guy? He's got to have a full head of hair, got to be good looking. The female voters say, gee, if I wouldn't sleep with him, I wouldn't vote for him. Well, think about that, Brittany and Rachel. Would you sleep with Ralph Nader? Or do you even know what he looks like? I've seen him, but do it.
Cleveland's only news radio. Your official weather station. The home of the Indians, Cavaliers, and Browns fans. This is the big one. Now, continuing coverage on News Radio, WTAM 1100, Cleveland.
The attorneys continue making their closing arguments for and against a hand recount in Florida. Good evening, I'm Cliff Bakley. This is the 10 o'clock report on News Radio WTAM 1100. Details coming up. Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
High pressure out there keeping us mostly clear at 18.
Currently 26 degrees at your official weather station, News Radio WTAM 1100.
The 2,000 votes. Our in-depth team coverage continues right now.
Election 2000 becomes night court. Hours of closing arguments continue in Tallahassee Circuit Court. The Gore campaign contests the Florida presidential election and seeks hand recounts in Miami-Dade and Palm Beach counties.
Keeping with the doctrine of the Declaration of Independence, the legitimate power of government is derived from the consent of the governed. This is the principle that animates
This is live sound from the courtroom. Also live from Tallahassee. With the latest is ABC's Bob Schmidt.
Chuck, 8 lawyers have now stood before Judge Sanders Sauls here in Tallahassee to sum up their cases for and against granting Al Gore a selective hand recount in some 13,000 ballots that may hold the key to the election. Gore lawyer David Boyce says the law clearly allows it. Bush lawyer Barry Richards says the law grants recount authority only to county canvassing boards and not judges. Other lawyers representing ordinary voters have told Judge Sauls if one vote is recounted, the votes in all 67 Florida counties should get equal treatment. Chuck?
Live from Tallahassee, ABC's Bob Schmidt. I'm Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Cops have the murdered Danielle Brantley's father in custody tonight. Team coverage from our Sandy Hayes Flynn, who says cops got a call that Byron Young was hurt and near the family home on the east side.
Cleveland cops started searching for Byron Young Thursday when his daughter, Danielle Brantley, was found in a Shaker Boulevard apartment with multiple stab wounds. But it wasn't until one of Young's family members picked up the phone that the father was found. Young is now in police custody along with the 19-year-old woman who lives in the apartment he visited with his daughter. Sandy Hayes Flynn, News Radio WTAM 1100.
Police found Young suffering from cuts to his neck. He was taken to the hospital, treated, and is now released. If you were downtown and wondered about the candlelight vigil, it was to remember those killed in drunk driving crashes over the years. Courtney Brennan with the local chapter of Mothers Against Drunk Driving says it takes place every year.
You put your stylus in, you put your stylus out. You put your stylus in and you punch Buchanan out. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You put the Gore votes in, you put the Bush votes out. You put the Gore votes in and you want another count. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You bring the lawyers in, you drag the whole thing out. You bring the lawyers in and you put it all in doubt. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You let your judges spin, you let your pundits spout. You let your judges spin and your people whine and pout. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You do the Palm Beach pokey. You do the Palm Beach pokey.
Sing along at home.
You do the Palm Beach pokey. And that's what it's all about.
If the people do not, in the end, choose me, so be it. The outcome will have been fair, and the people will have spoken. If they choose me, so be it. I would then commit, and do commit, to bringing this country together. But whatever the outcome, let the people have their say, and let us listen.
Well, yeah, and the people that don't know how to vote, too. You poked the thing through or you didn't poke the thing through, okay? Pokey? Yeah. Phone number here, 578-1100 in the 216 area code. Toll free, and all those lines are filled. Toll free, 888-723-WTAM. Big callers number 11 and 12 right now, if you'd like. I'm giving away two pairs of tickets to the WTAM movie premiere of Castaway. That's Wednesday the 20th at Cinemark in Valley View. So just be callers 11 and 12 right now on the contest lines if you'd like to go see that fabulous new Tom Hanks movie where he's adrift on an island. And speaking of showbiz, I found something, and I'll get to your calls here in just a second. I want to read this from the fall 2000 edition of Entertainment Weekly. I just happened to notice this inside the back cover. 10 ways not to break into show business. Thought this was rather amusing. Number 1, insist you will not do nudity after you've accepted the part of the transsexual hooker. Number 2, go to Republican Party fundraisers. You will not run into all those phony baloney Hollywood types, such as actors, producers, writers, and directors there. And I'm not going to a Republican Party fundraiser, but I am going to some sort of a little get-together during the week to, I guess I'm going to meet the governor. How's that? Sounds interesting. Number 3, tell gay jokes. Yeah, and I was told I should come up with some questions that I would like to ask Governor Taft. And I was thinking, gee, you seem a lot taller in person, or I don't know, what do you say to the governor? If you had the opportunity to meet Governor Taft, what would you ask? Number 3, tell gay jokes. Oh, you are so charmingly politically incorrect and so charmingly unemployed. And number 4, in the 10 ways of how not to break into show business, keep your real name. Okay, it's a toss-up between two unknowns, Ernest P. Huffnagel and Rick Rockefeller. Help me decide. Number 5, be rude to the crew. Don't worry, they will not tell anyone else in the business what an unholy little pill you are. Number 6, in the 10 ways not to break into show business, wait to be discovered. Big-time agents are always coming to Podunk Falls looking for the next big star. Make sure that you don't answer the door in curlers. And number 7, abuse your cell phone. Having a loud conversation with your quote-unquote agent at a fancy restaurant does impress people, tourists. Number 8, in the 10 ways not to break into show business, park in an executive's spot. Not only will you never eat lunch in this town again, you'll never serve lunch in this town again. Number 9, do not work out. You want to be known for your acting, not your body. And so does Jennifer Lopez. And the number 10 reason of how not to break into show business, the 10th way not to break into show business, sleep with the screenwriter. He's the least powerful person in Hollywood. Magazine writers, now that's another story. Gee, how about Hollywood talk show hosts? Matt in Strongsville, you're on the big one. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air.
Hi, yeah, I'd like to start off by saying that I don't like Rush Limbaugh.
You don't have to. Do you ever listen to Rush Limbaugh?
Yeah, I find him offensive in some ways, and I don't like how much he lies.
I don't think that Rush Limbaugh does all that much lying. I think he exposes a lot of truths.
Yeah, I guess we're all entitled to what we think. But
I just listen to him for the most part, not so much for his views as I listen to him as a broadcaster. I like to hear how he puts forth his notions, because do you know where Rush Limbaugh came from?
No, I don't actually.
Well, besides Cape Girardeau, Missouri, he dropped out of college, and he decided he wanted to be a talk show host on the radio, and he decided the best talk show host that he could be would be one that says things in such convincing fashion that you would tend to believe him. And have you ever listened to Rush and said, God, that guy's, yeah, wait a minute, I don't agree with that. But for a half a second there, he had you going.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a convincing broadcaster.
Yeah. Well, second of all, I'd like to say that I think Gore's just a big fat crybaby, if you ask me. I'm getting kind of sick of all this recounts.
Oh, I know. And then, of course, Gore says it's not a recount, it's a total count. Well, it has been recounted and recounted and recounted. First we got rid of Ilian Gonzalez. Now we've got Manuel Recount. The next scourge of Florida. And I think it's time that Al Gore should just say, listen, yeah, I guess I did not win, and I'll see you in 2004. I already think by this time there are people out there thinking, I don't know if I'd vote for that guy again, because look at the way he acts when he loses. He looks like a sore loser, and nobody likes a sore loser, do they?
No.
I mean, you should accept defeat with grace and move on with your life.
Really? Yeah, and I heard this interesting joke the other day. I heard that if somebody were saying saw Al Gore and Rush Limbaugh in a boat sinking, who would be saved? And the punchline was USA. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that. And you're lumping the right and the left together in a rowboat. The last I'd heard, it was Daly, Daly of the Daily Chicago fame, and Lieberman and Gore in a rowboat, and they only had enough food left for one day. So they decided to take a vote, a secret ballot, to see who would get the food. And Daly won 8-2. Vicky in Cleveland, talk to me.
Hi, Rick. How you doing?
Good, you?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
Didn't I get an email from you?
No, it wasn't this Vicky.
Oh, okay. Someone emailed me at Gilly@WTAM.com.
I heard that.
And,
I heard that. That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was another Vicky with common sense.
Oh, well, I guess that wasn't me.
You don't believe? You do not believe you have any?
I just came on.
You don't believe you have any common sense?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Well, I think you have a great deal of it.
I'm 40 now, so isn't that after the certain point of a certain age there that you get common sense?
You know Daryl Hannah's 40 today?
Oh, hey. Well, I always say that if it's within a year or two, this side or that, it doesn't count. We're all the same age.
You know J.P. Morgan is 69 today?
Well, they're older than me. That's good.
Remember her from the Gong Show?
Oh, I remember the Gong Show.
I didn't think she was 69. Well, I guess that show was on 20-some years ago, so.
Quite a long time ago.
And Ozzy Osbourne's 52.
Yeah, I like people that are older than me. Makes me feel young.
Yeah, me too.
Doesn't happen too often, though, lately.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when I was 17 thinking, gee, 30 does seem kind of old. And when I was 28 thinking, 30's not very old. But
not bad at all.
40, yeah, 40, that's pretty old. Now I'm 39 and I think 40, while it can be old, doesn't necessarily have to be. Maybe 60's old. I don't know. I'll put it off. Or maybe I'll just tell people I'm 39. I could tell people I was 32 and get away with it. I think so. So I should just tell people I'm 32 and just, or tell them I'm 39 next year as well and play Jack Benny.
Well, you know, you're only as old as you feel, in which case there are days that I'm about 102.
I've had those days myself.
You know, I was listening to the show yesterday, and one of the things that irritates me tremendously is, and I've heard this mainly on the Democratic side, and I'm sure that the Republican side has done it also, but that woman that called you yesterday and got on and complained about the things that weren't being discussed and spouted off and then just hung up.
What was her complaint? I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember what it was. Something that happened in Seminole County, which I'm not so sure.
Yeah, she opened the phone call by saying, oh, sure. What's that?
Well, you can already tell the attitude there.
My board operator put up something on, what site is that? Is that Al Gore Loves You? Something like that? And it's got a picture of Al Gore with hearts, and then you put your photo in there.
Oh, boy.
And he put in Rick Gilmour, so now it says Al Gore is 60.5% in love with Rick Gilmour. Look how happy he is.
I'd like to know which 60.5% it is.
I don't know if I want, you mean like from the waist up or the waist down? Oh, the woman called, and she said she had this problem. Oh, Rob put his own name in there. 61.5% Al Gore is in love with Rob Hagel. Well, that's interesting. I'm working with the Hagel-Warner Dream Team tonight. You should have both your names up there. And the woman said, oh, you don't want to talk to any Democrats, do you?
That's right.
Now, I was working yesterday, and Allie was screening and taking the calls, and it was very difficult to try and put up on the computer screen. If you fill out all the information, it will say how long people have been waiting. Al Gore is only 48.5% in love with Stephanie Warner. Wah, 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 wah. And then she spouted off something about the real counties that we should be looking at in Florida, and then hung it in my ear. Well, you know she's going to get belittled after she does something like that. I mean, I had no idea. It said nothing on my computer screen. Allie was too busy. I did not know if anyone was on a car phone, a Republican, a Democrat, what they wanted to talk about. I was just taking the calls and what I thought they seemed the order of how long she would hold up. The number one's been on the longest, or number five sounded interesting. And it was just too busy around here. Sometimes it gets really, really busy. And I had no idea how long this woman waited. She waited 26.5 minutes. Now, Vicki, you waited quite a while as well.
Well, and I call a lot, and I also know that's part of it. You know, you just wait your turn.
You're calling about my new dog?
Well, yeah, you got a new dog. You know, first of all, I got to tell you, your landlord must be a Democrat.
I don't know.
Well, he changed the rules in midstream.
Well, here's the deal, though. When I first moved in, I had a lease. And after I'd been there for a couple of years, he didn't bother writing me a lease anymore because he knows that I'm not going to tear the place up. And the lease is actually, I would say, for both our sake, you know, protection on both sides. But I'm a pretty good tenant, and we're pretty good friends. And yeah, the dog's working out real well. The dog was very upset when the landlord first left because he's had that dog for a month. And the dog was pacing back and forth in the apartment and barking and wanted to follow along. And then finally she calmed down and she went to sleep, and she's been okay now. I don't know what it's going to be like. I had to take the guinea pig off of the park bench in the kitchen and put it up on the counter because I thought, you know, this thing is half terrier. I mean,
I was going to ask you what type of dog it was.
A shepherd terrier, and I was walking her around the house outside, and she saw a rabbit and dragged me along for about 50 feet and gave me a little bit of a workout there. And I thought, well, who's to say that she wouldn't eat a pet rat or a pet guinea pig then?
A shepherd terrier? Geez, I'd like to know how that happened.
Well, I can tell you how it happened.
Well, I mean, just get a visual, and I'm blind, and I can get an amazing visual on that one. What type of terrier?
I don't know. Probably a larger one. She's not a real big dog. She's probably about 30, 35 pounds.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to. I can't have a real. What my fiance really wanted was a Labrador.
I remember you said that a while back.
I don't want any dogs that poop more than I do.
Well, you know, see, Rick, a lot of that is about what you feed them.
Well, I mean, still, just the mass of a dog over 100 pounds.
So you wouldn't want my Orion dog? Well, he's only 90.
And see, I've had dogs that were 85 pounds, and it's not very pleasurable to go out and clean up the yard.
Well, terriers in general are tough little dogs.
Yeah,
So
well...
don't think just because, it's, you know, a lot of terriers fool people because they're so cute.
Here's the deal, though. I wonder how my fiancé left the house tonight. I wonder how the dog's faring all alone, apparently. And I heard this on Mike Trevisano's program, heard weekdays there from 3 to 7. I heard him say he was watching a program on nature on TV, on the Discovery Channel or something, and the reason why dogs get so upset when you leave is because they do not have the ability to reason, and so they think you're leaving forever.
Well,
they think
and every dog is different. See, the thing that you need to understand too is you don't know really too much history, right? Your landlord found this dog. Is that correct?
Yeah. What happens is people. I'll tell you what. I got to take a break. Can you hang on?
Sure.
All right. Hold the phone there. Channel 3 weather from Marshall McPeak tonight. Clear with a low of 18, and currently 26 degrees in Cleveland. 26 degrees tomorrow. Cloudy skies, 38. You're on the line. Be patient. I'll get to you.
Don't get caught off guard when snowstorms strike northeast Ohio.
Black ice this morning.
Potpourri of accidents.
Check in with your winter information station several times a day. News Radio WTAM 1100.
The buzz around the office water cooler has now shifted to the impending holidays.
2000 issue of People Weekly. Third-party rebel Ralph Nader may have thrown the election into chaos, but he couldn't care less. Interesting if you get a chance to go to the dentist's office and see that. Received an email at Gilly@WTAM.com. Gilly, the reason a lot of people liked Ronald Reagan is that he made us feel good about being American. That's electing with your heart. But because there was a lot of positive action behind his words, he made electing with the heart a cognitive election as well. Well, a Colorado man has found a way to profit from the presidential election no matter who wins. John Fisher is selling T-shirts and bumper stickers that say, "He is not my president." He's already sold his initial inventory of 500 bumper stickers and has ordered more. The Boulder man figures about half of the nation's voters are potential customers, whether it's Bush or Gore, who eventually goes to the White House. He's selling his merchandise on the internet. He says he's already received suggestions for other bumper stickers, such as "Re-elect President Gore in 2004, even if he loses." Well, how about that? Ran over your cat, squashed him flat. What do you think about that? Joe, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Gilly?
Good, thanks for the wait.
Well, thank you. Listen, Rush, I don't agree with him. I don't like his style. I don't know if this is a lie. And you got the tape at your station last Friday, okay? The day after Thanksgiving. I'm stuck here because I have to pay for a car repair, and it's a long story, but I don't go down to my brother's till the day after Thanksgiving, and I have to listen to Rush. And he is saying that this isn't a close election, that Bush won by a ton of votes, and it's all the cheating by the Democrats that keeps it close. Almost exact words. That's a lie.
Well, I don't know as if I'd call it a lie.
Why isn't it a lie? How can that not be a lie?
Well, there are a lot of instances where there were Democrats that were wanting the hand recounts, and there were a lot of folks on the Republican side that would say, you know what, these hand recounts of these ballots and whatnot, it makes other chads fall out, and then all of a sudden, oops, there's a vote here, there, or a vote there that we have to throw out, or can't count this one, or can't count that one, and all the handling of those ballots that were not meant to be handled goes to help Al Gore, not to necessarily help George Bush. They didn't do any recounting in Republican counties. They just wanted to do recounts in Democrat counties.
No, I'm talking about close. I'm not arguing that George Bush didn't win this election. That's possible. I'm just saying that to say that it wouldn't because of Democratic cheating, and let's remember it was George Bush in 1998 who signed into law a bill in his state that said...
Yes, I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah, you're aware of that. Well, you know, those are the reasons that Rush, and I can give you other instances where he doesn't tell the truth. What I say, Rush Limbaugh is a demagogue. He's good at what he does. So is Jesse Helms. So is Strom Thurmond. So was Huey Long. So was Father Coughlin. Now, if Rush Limbaugh invited me to his house for drinks, he and Marta, I'd go in a minute. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
He's interesting as hell, but I do think he's a demagogue, and I think he's good at what he does.
All right, well, hey, that's what more can you say? You do not have to agree with Rush Limbaugh. He's got tons of listeners. Maybe you were just a little upset that you could not find somebody who spouts your political views in as convincing a fashion as Rush Limbaugh spouts the views that you do not like to hear. I simply listen to Rush because I like to hear one of the best, if not the best, at what they do. He took this election apart and continues to do so, weekdays here on the big one, from noon to triv, like a clock. And sets forth all these questions and issues and answers them. And you may not like the answers that you hear. Well, let's face it, 50% of the country would not want to hear, apparently, 50% of those who went and voted would not want to listen to what he has to say. Especially if he said it in convincing fashion and made them think, my God, what if I am wrong? What if I am wrong? It's just a possibility. And I'll tell you what, if a talk show host makes you think, is listenable and makes you think, then they're doing their job.
Cleveland's only news radio. Your official weather station. The home of the Indians, Cavaliers, and Browns fans. This is the big one. Now, continuing coverage on News Radio, WTAM 1100, Cleveland.
The legal arguments go on into the night in Florida. Good evening. I'm Cliff Bakley. This is the 11 o'clock report on News Radio WTAM 1100. Details coming up. Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
Some stars out there tonight, looking for a low down to 18.
Currently 21 degrees, the wind chill's 15 at your official weather station. News Radio WTAM 1100.
The 2,000 votes. Our in-depth team coverage continues right now.
A parade of lawyers make closing arguments in Tallahassee, all before a Leon County Circuit judge who is hearing the Gore campaign contest Florida's presidential election, and the Bush campaign, voters, Florida's Secretary of State, and others, all through attorneys.
Because he says the stylist is going to make an impression that you're going to be able to discern.
David Boies, the circuit court hearing.
Even if it were the case,
he is making his second
there were a
speech tonight for the judge.
Creating indentations, a manual review, an individual ballot review by the court or the court's designee.
And to explain what's happening right now, live from Tallahassee, ABC's Vic Ratner. Vic.
Fairly can reflect the intent of the voter. The Miami-Dade Canvassing Board.
Back to David Boies. This is the Gore campaign attorney. Vice President Gore says it is certain whoever loses in this Leon County Circuit courtroom, the loser will appeal. And Gore tells CBS's 60 Minutes that both sides know it's going to end up in the Florida Supreme Court. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Police are trying to figure out just what happened leading up to the Thursday night stabbing of 3-year-old Danielle Brantley in a Shaker Boulevard apartment. She died yesterday, and as our Sandy Hayes Flynn reports, the girl's father has finally been located.
Cleveland police had no idea where Byron Young was until one of his family members tipped them off. Young is now in police custody, along with the 19-year-old woman who rents the apartment where little Danielle Brantley was found Thursday. Brantley died Saturday at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. She suffered multiple stab wounds to her head, chest, and neck. Sandy Hayes Flynn, News Radio, WTAM 1100.
Young was found cut himself on the neck. He was taken to the hospital, treated and released. He's now in custody, but police are not calling him a suspect. Congress heads back to work in Washington this week as the presidential election still hangs in the balance. ABC's Barbara Britt takes a look at what's left on Congress's to-do list.
Unfinished business for members of Congress returning this week includes approving 4 of the remaining 13 annual spending bills on health, education, and labor. But there's very little incentive for this lame duck session to cooperate across the aisle until they know who will be next in the Oval Office.
There was a big celebration today in Olmsted Falls. Folks like Carol Bentley rejoicing over the high school football team state championship.
We both went to Olmsted. It's just great that everybody's behind them. I mean, the pep rallies that they had and just everybody getting out gives everybody motivation to get up and be happy.
The poet who won a Pulitzer Prize for writing candid and compassionate verse that touched on poverty, racism, and drugs among black people has died. Gwendolyn Brooks was 83. Breaking news, the Florida recount trial in Tallahassee has just ended for the day. A decision from the judge is expected in the morning. Channel 3 weather is next. It's 11:04 at News Radio, WTAM 1100.
2020 sports, another week, another beating. This time it was the Jaguars who dished the Browns a 48-0 whitewashing. Fred Taylor ran for 181 yards and scored 3 times. Jacksonville outgained the Brownies 449-53 in total yards and sacked Spurgeon Wynn 5 times. He was carted off the field with a bruised knee but would return. The Colorado Rockies have made a significant free agent signing. Lefty Denny Nagel gets a 5-year, $51 million deal. Now they're going after Mike Hampton. Mark Schwab, News Radio WTAM 1100.
There's nothing more exciting than the growth of a wise investment. Of course, there's little as disturbing as seeing your investment hit new lows in a volatile market, which is why now may be a good time to diversify with a high-yielding CD or money market account from E-Trade Bank. Call 1-888-594-BANK. Formerly known as Telebank, E-Trade Bank CD yields have consistently paid in the top 1% in the nation for 10 years running. Their money market accounts have consistently yielded double the national average, and these high-yield accounts are all FDIC insured. So how do they do it? E-Trade Bank does business by phone and internet rather than through costly branches. This keeps their expenses low and their interest rates high, all with the protection of FDIC insurance. Bull markets can come and they can go. Have some money safely earning high interest. Call E-Trade Bank now for a free rate quote and information kit. 1-888-594-BANK. That's E-Trade Bank. 1-888-594-BANK.
Live Doppler radar. Accurate, in-depth teen winter storm coverage. Cleveland's official weather station. News Radio, WTAM 1100.
Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
The high pressure out there that's clearing everything out is also making it kind of cold because there are no clouds to hold in the heat that we get during the day. Mostly clear skies for the evening hours, the low down to 18. Then for your day on Monday, partly cloudy and 38.
At your official weather station, fair skies, 21 degrees. The wind chill is 15. I'm Cliff Bakley on Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
Continuing coverage coming up at the bottom of the hour. Bulletins at 1. News Radio, WTAM 1100.
The following material may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised. WTAM 1100.
Put your stylus in, you put your stylus out. You put your stylus in and you punch Buchanan out. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You put the Gore votes in, you put the Bush votes out. You put the Gore votes in and you want another count. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You bring the lawyers in, you drag the whole thing out. You bring the lawyers in and you put it all in doubt. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You let your judges spin, you let your pundits spout. You let your judges spin and your people whine and pout. You do the Palm Beach pokey and you turn the count around. That's what it's all about. You do the Palm Beach pokey. You do the Palm Beach pokey. You do the Palm Beach pokey. And that's what it's all about.
You poked the thing through or you didn't poke the thing through, okay? Pokey. Well, that's the most damned annoying song I've ever heard in my life, and I sang it.
Why me, Lord? What have I ever done?
Well, Rob's playing that, to deserve hearing that song over and over and over? I actually heard it on Mike Trevisano's program one time. Of course, Mike was not there. It was Hanford Dixon and Mike Snyder filling in. And they opened the show with it. Well, I was flattered, but I thought, geez, of all the songs I've ever heard or done, that's the most annoying thing. Well, apparently we will find out in the morning. The Leon County Circuit Court Judge Sanders Sauls will announce in the morning whether or not Al Gore's seeking overturn of George W. Bush's certified victory in Florida will happen, whether it will be overturned. All the closing arguments have been heard. We will wait with bated breath. We will listen to Wills, Webster, and Coleman from 5 to 9 here on the big one and find out what that decision is going to be. Will it be overturned or not? I'm not certain. At this point, I cannot predict anything in the election. 578-1100 in the 216 area code. Toll-free 888-723-WTAM. I have no clue. In fact, I still believe that my DJ friend Flash Gordon, who has a bet going somewhere, one of those sports bet things he can do on the internet, he kept asking me before the election, who should I bet on? And I said, it's too close to call. I'm not going to go out on a limb and tell somebody what they should do with their money. I said, I don't know. It's too close to call. Now he went to try and collect his money, and it said, it's all on hold until after the dispute. Well, the dispute is still going on, an ongoing dispute, and we have not heard the end of it yet. How long will this go on? Well, there is a time frame. I just thought it was interesting, some of the things that we've heard along the way. I've heard some callers this evening say, well, if the shoe were on the other foot, Bush should be doing everything he could. And I've heard it said they were talking about how in court, this delivering a boost to Al Gore, a voting machine expert called by the Bush campaign, testified that hand counts are necessary to determine accuracy. Bush lawyers called punch card voting machine designer John Amman in an effort to boost their claims that disputed ballots do not contain unread votes for Gore, but in cross-examination, Democrats confronted Amman with a sworn statement he gave in trying to patent an improved voting machine that listed the types of problems punch card machines have. Amman then testified that hand recounts of ballots are needed to determine accurate vote results in very close elections. Another GOP witness, police officer William Roloff of Fort Lauderdale, said he did not intend to vote for president, but may have dimpled the top of his ballot by accident. He said he does not believe anyone can interpret his intent from his ballot, countering Gore's claim that thousands of ballots with no presidential votes should be examined for any indentation that may hint at the voter's intent. Some of the things we have heard along the way here are absolutely ludicrous. And I'm certain that voting machines may have their problems. But then along the way, we've also heard Al Gore, the Gorex. We've heard him say, but those disenfranchised voters in the poorer counties use older voting machines. But I've said before, and I'll say it again, it's just like a school bus. Well, the city of Cleveland has to buy their own buses, and so does the city of Fairview and Westlake and Cleveland Heights and anybody else that has school buses. They are inspected by the State Highway Patrol. And both a Democrat and a Republican looked at each and every one of those voting machines before Election Day to see if they were in proper working order. I still sit fascinated at the very experience that we're having in our lifetime to see an election that is this close and how human nature takes over. I'm going to win at any cost. No, I'm going to win at any cost. No, I really got 500 more votes. No, I should have those votes. We should find out what folks intended to do. We don't have enough now, so maybe we'll find out what they intended to do. Wow, this is interesting. Rob hands me a list off the internet. Presidential pets and their owners. Antelope. Now, is this above or below? Is this what we're doing here? Would the antelope be Calvin Coolidge? Calvin Coolidge had an antelope. John Quincy Adams had an alligator. Did he keep that in the White House tub, the one that Taft got stuck in? Both Thomas Jefferson and Teddy Roosevelt had pet bears. Rutherford B. Hayes, Grover Cleveland, Calvin Coolidge, and Kennedy had canaries. Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson had a chicken. Sounds like Teddy Roosevelt had a whole menagerie. Were they alive or were they stuffed? James Buchanan had an eagle. George Washington, James Madison, Andrew Jackson, Ulysses Grant, and William McKinley all had parrots. Can you imagine Ulysses Grant waking up with an enormous hangover and a parrot squawking at him in the White House? Ulysses want a bottle of whiskey. Ulysses want another bottle of whiskey. William McKinley had an Angora cat. Hayes, Ford, and Carter had Siamese. Teddy Roosevelt must have been a menagerie around the White House. Woodrow Wilson, Coolidge, Truman, and Kennedy had unknown breeds. That's the type of dog I have. The best type of dog, indeed. A mutt. Teddy Roosevelt had a bull terrier. Hayes had a greyhound. Both Truman and Nixon graced the White House with Irish setters. Buchanan and Grant had Newfoundlands. So apparently Grant had a Newfoundland and a parrot. I wonder if the parrot rode on... Oh, stuff saying in my ear, it's Newfoundland, not Newfoundland. I just found that out now, I guess. I wonder if the parrot rode on the Newfoundland's back. Perhaps only after some whiskey was consumed. Teddy Roosevelt had a Pekingese. Why? I don't know. Eisenhower had a Weimaraner. Now, wouldn't you think the man that won the European theater would choose some other dog besides a German breed? I would. Both, Washington, Garfield, Harrison, Teddy Roosevelt, and Jimmy Carter had unknown breeds or mixes. Calvin Coolidge had a donkey. Why? James Buchanan had an elephant. And they named it William Howard Taft. Well, I don't know about that. Garfield and Nixon had fish. Yeah, I would think that lots of presidents would have had fish. Lincoln, Hayes, Harrison, and Truman all had goats. The hell do you want a pet goat for? This is unbelievable. I'm looking at this list for the first time. Calvin Coolidge had a hippo. Where the hell do you keep a hippo at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Now, this makes sense. Washington, Adams, Jackson, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Grant, Harrison, Roosevelt, Kennedy, and Reagan all had horses. That makes perfect sense. Horses are wonderful pets if you can afford to keep them. And on a presidential salary. Calvin Coolidge, who had a hippo, also had a lion. Well, was this Barnum and Bailey and Coolidge? Oh, my. And Teddy Roosevelt had a lizard. How many different things did Roosevelt have in his house? Well, it's actually our house. Andrew Johnson had a mouse. Benjamin Harrison and Herbert Hoover had possums. Gee, don't you get out the... Don't you call the exterminator to get rid of those things? Have you ever seen a possum in your yard? The ugliest little things with razor-sharp teeth. They'd nibble an arm off if given half a chance. Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, and Dwight Eisenhower had pigs. Lincoln, Grant, Roosevelt, and Kennedy had ponies. Well, wouldn't they grow up to be a horse? Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Kennedy, and Carter all had rabbits. Calvin Coolidge, along with what? The hippo and the lion, had a raccoon. He's a strange one, wasn't he? Silent Cal just spent all his days feeding the animals. Ah, this is interesting. Theodore Roosevelt, go figure, had a pet rat that was a piebald. Can anybody tell me what a piebald rat is? Madison and Wilson had sheep. Teddy Roosevelt had a snake. Maybe he fed the piebald rat to the snake. Teddy Roosevelt and Eisenhower had squirrels, and Martin Van Buren had a tiger. There were guinea pigs, too. Were there any guinea pigs listed in here? I didn't see any guinea pigs, Rob. Oh, Kennedy and guess who? Take a wild guess. Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt running around the White House with a damn zoo. It was a zoo, I tell you, a zoo. Harold, you're on the air.
Franklin Roosevelt had a pet dog, and that dog's name was Fowler.
I know that.
You didn't have no rat running around?
It was Fowler the dog, and it was a black Scottish Terrier.
That's right, and the Republicans always attacked that dog, and he went on the radio, and the Republicans backed down because he said the Republicans always attacking my wife and my dog Fowler.
No, I know. It was a different time back then. You ever watch the Waltons and Grandma Walton would scream, "You will not make fun of the president." Well, that doesn't happen anymore. I think Grandma Walton would be sitting around watching Leno going, "Woo, that's a funny one."
What kind of dog is your George Bush guy? He's got that little rat dog running around.
It's a Cocker Spaniel.
It's a little mutt type.
Well, maybe it's a baby Cocker Spaniel.
And what kind of house does that man live in? He looks like he lives in a shanty shack out there with a gas well behind.
It's a ranch.
It looks like he's got that propane gas tank behind it, like somebody's going to blow up his house if he don't watch it.
Well, I don't know about that. What kind of dog have you... Do you have a dog?
I used to have two. I had one hunting dog once. You're talking about Johnson and them Beagles. Them Beagles are good hunting dogs.
Yeah, and he'd pick them up by the ears.
Well, there ain't nothing wrong with that. He knew how to take care of the dogs.
Well, how'd you like if somebody picked you up by your ears?
That didn't hurt those dogs. And Nixon, that was his wife's dog because that dog didn't like him. I read that somewhere.
And George Bush didn't like broccoli either.
No, that dog grounded Nixon once, I read.
No, I didn't ever read the Lives of the Presidential Dogs. I didn't read that book, Harold. Anything else on your mind?
Tricky Dick, I hope that judge gets to it real quick and makes a ruling and throws those votes out. Now look at all these other court cases going on. There's in Seminole County where Republicans illegally signed them cards, and they're going to throw 4,700 votes out.
We'll find out in the morning, Harold. We'll find out in the morning when the decision comes down. Channel 3 weather from Marshall McPeak. Clear overnight, low 18. Tomorrow, cloudy, high of 38. Currently 21 degrees in Cleveland, 21 degrees. You're on the line, be patient. And what do we got? One pair left? We got one pair of tickets left to go see. Where is my paperwork at? Go see that movie. I've been giving away passes all night. Well, I can't seem to locate it now. There it is. The WTAM movie premiere of Cast Away, the new Tom Hanks movie, Wednesday the 20th at Cinemark in Valley View. Just be the 11th caller right now at 578-1111 in the 216 area code. Be the 11th caller on the contest line, and you can win my last pair of passes I have to give away to go see Cast Away. And if you're on the regular lines, you're waiting, be patient, I'll get to you.
Basketball time on the big one. Tuesday night, 7:30. Charlotte's in town to take on the Cavs. Sports director Mike Snyder and Cavs line at 6:30. All the ball. It's WTAM 1100.
Are your debts threatening your peace of mind? Here are the danger signs. If you borrow from one credit card to pay off another. If you're maxed out on 2 or more cards. If you can only afford to make the minimum monthly payment. But now there's a nonprofit organization that can help you reduce your debt load and get caught up again. It's called AmeriDebt. Call them at 1-800-262-4800. AmeriDebt can help you reduce your monthly payments as much as 50%. They'll negotiate with your creditors for you, eliminating or reducing your interest rates. And they'll consolidate your bills into one lower monthly payment. Even if you're not a homeowner, even if you're way behind, AmeriDebt can help. If you have more than $2,000 in debt, call AmeriDebt now for a free debt consultation. 1-800-262-4800. It's completely confidential and there's no obligation. If you've noticed the debt danger signs, or if you're just tired of worrying about your bills, there's help waiting. Call AmeriDebt now. 1-800-262-4800.
Keep Cleveland's children warm this winter. Dig into your closet. Dig into your wallet. Give to Coats for Kids. Officially underway now through the end of the year. Drop off a new or gently worn coat at any Northeast Ohio Dry Clean USA, Smythe Kramer, or at the mall. Richmond Town Square, Randall Park Mall, South Park Center, and Westgate Mall. Click on a complete donation location list at WTAM.com. Mail a donation to Coats for Kids, P.O. Box 74767, Cleveland 44194. Coats for Kids. Keep us warm. From Andy Chevrolet, the Salvation Army, WKYC, and News Radio WTAM 1100.
There's nothing more exciting than the growth of a wise investment. Of course, there's little as disturbing as seeing your investment hit new lows in a volatile market, which is why now may be a good time to diversify with the high-yielding CD or money market account from E-Trade Bank. Call 1-888-594-BANK. Formerly known as Telebank, E-Trade Bank CD yields have consistently paid in the top 1% in the nation for 10 years running. Their money market accounts have consistently yielded double the national average, and these high-yield accounts are all FDIC insured. So how do they do it? E-Trade Bank does business by phone and internet rather than through costly branches. This keeps their expenses low and their interest rates high, all with the protection of FDIC insurance. Bull markets can come and they can go. Have some money safely earning high interest. Call E-Trade Bank now for a free rate quote and information kit. 1-888-594-BANK. That's E-Trade Bank. 1-888-594-BANK.
These are great days we're living, bros. We are jolly green giants walking the earth with guns. These people we wasted here today are the finest human beings we will ever know. After we rotate back to the world, we're gonna miss not having anyone around who's worth shooting.
When the moment has to be truly special, just remember these love letters. J.B. Robinson. J.B. Robinson.
This
Christmas, J.B. Robinson Jewelers has the perfect Seiko watch for everyone on your gift list. Like the Seiko Kinetic Collection. Men's and ladies' watches powered by human movement, so there's no need to replace a battery ever. That's not just low maintenance, that's no maintenance. Wear the watch that started a revolution in timekeeping, Seiko Kinetic. Make this Christmas special with a gift that says I love you every minute of every day. A Seiko watch from J.B. Robinson Jewelers. We've been making the holidays special since 1929.
When the moment has to be truly special, just remember these love letters.
Shop J.B. Robinson Jewelers, 11 convenient locations. Pre-financing for 1 year available. Minimum purchase and minimum monthly payments required.
Monday night is Coach's Night on the Big One. The Randy Whitman Show hits the air at 7. Then at 8, Browns Prime Time with head coach Chris Palmer. All the balls. WTAM 11.
Bald is one word, P-I-E-B-A-L-D. Piebald, now we know, a piebald rat. Who was it, Teddy Roosevelt? I don't know, it seemed like he had everything. What the hell would you want a pet hippo for? Them teeth would put an eye out or something. Ken, you're on the Big One.
Hi, Rick.
Howdy.
Hey, I have a question that's been bugging me since the election.
All right.
Gore was the favorite son of Tennessee since, what, 78, 79?
And he did not carry Tennessee.
Yeah, so what do the majority of the voters in Tennessee know that the rest of this country doesn't know?
Did Clinton carry Arkansas?
I have no idea.
I do not believe he did. So if their home states cannot be carried, then and really, Al Gore spent frightfully little time in Tennessee, didn't he?
Well, I mean, he's been there since, since 78.
Yeah, well, he's been in Washington, and he's been here and there. I mean, I don't know how much time he actually spent in Tennessee, and maybe the voters of Tennessee sat around and decided, you know what, yeah, we're not all that impressed by Al Gore, so why would we want to support him?
Yeah. By the way, on that pet list...
Yeah.
You missed a couple for Kennedy. I think there was 3 blondes, 2 brunettes.
Yeah, well, I don't think those are the kind of pets we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Those would be penthouse pets.
Oh, I'm confused. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you think about presidents, and I'm always seeing even George W. and Al Gore, and they're always out jogging. And jogging is not very presidential. I mean, Lincoln didn't jog. Kennedy didn't jog. He ran around a lot, but he didn't jog.
Yeah. Well, he got his exercise in other places other than the White House.
That's true. And you know what the funny thing is?
What?
He had a bad back. So he made the girls do all the work.
Well, yeah, he probably did his job on his back.
That's right. Isn't that interesting? Wouldn't it be on top of the world, Ma? I'm the President of the United States, and have Marilyn Monroe sneaking into the White House to ride me around like a farm animal.
Well, I tell you, compared to the hippos or the elephants, I would take the blondes and brunettes.
No, okay. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Hey, you're more than welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let's go to John in Berea. You're on the air.
Yeah, Gilly.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that Al Gore has a llama?
I did not know he had a llama.
Yeah, he invented it.
He invented llamas? He probably came up with the llama. Hello? Hello? The last sound of tuna fish shears before they close the can. Found this. This is an interesting story. 6 weeks ago, fans tailgating before the Eagles game at Veterans Stadium could find people inhaling nitrous oxide-filled balloons along with their hot dogs and beer. But officials say the laughing gas balloons were nowhere in sight before today's game between the top-ranked Birds and the Titans. Dominic Verdi, deputy commissioner of the city's Department of Licenses and Inspections, said there haven't been any problems at the vet in the past few weeks after a crackdown on people selling the balloons. He said that L&I went after the sellers pretty hard, seizing canisters and warning that they could be cited for selling at the vet without a license, even have their vehicles seized. Nitrous oxide is legal, a loophole some officials want to close because of several accidental deaths among people using it. I was not aware, and I have known some folks that would inhale nitrous oxide, and it would give you, have you ever heard of the wah-wahs? Everything sounds like wah, 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 wah in your ears, and all it really does is cut down on the amount of oxygen to your brain. And, of course, nitrous oxide used by dentists to pull teeth, laughing gas, that sort of thing, for a long time. But, yes, I know nitrous oxide is not illegal. Now, if you abuse a substance, do you necessarily need to make it illegal? I mean, let's face it. Airplane glue and spray paint can be abused, and yet are they found, do you make them an illegal substance? Or do you say, well, occasionally some people are going to die from doing something that's stupid, and that's just the way it works? What do you think about that?
Cleveland's only news radio. Your official weather station. The home of the Indians, Cavaliers, and Browns fans. This is the big one. Now, continuing coverage on News Radio, WTAM 1100, Cleveland.
The Florida judge will rule in the morning whether to recount 14,000 votes by hand. Good evening, I'm Cliff Bakley, and this is the 1130 report on News Radio, WTAM 1100. Details coming up. Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
Not a whole lot of clouds out there. That's going to make it cold tonight, the low 18.
Currently 21 degrees, the wind chill 15 at your official weather station, News Radio, WTAM 1100. A Florida judge says he will rule in the morning on Al Gore's bid to overturn George W. Bush's certified election win. The trial went into overdrive as the judge heard closing arguments on into the night. But no matter how the judge rules, it's expected the other side will appeal to Florida's Supreme Court. Delivering a boost to Gore, a voting machine expert called by the Bush campaign testified that hand counts are necessary to determine accuracy in very close elections. Dick Cheney told the Sunday morning talk shows that Gore should concede, and now Gore's point man, former Secretary of State Warren Christopher, said no way.
I think it's far too early to think about conceding.
Cops are questioning Byron Young, the father of Danielle Brantley, who died from her stab wounds last Thursday. Police Lieutenant Sharon McKay isn't saying if Young is considered a suspect.
I think right now what we're looking to do is to talk to him, find out what he knows about this incident.
Young was found after a tip from family members that he'd been wounded. He was found near his East Side home with cuts on his neck. A former Ohio man says workers at a North Carolina Firestone plant were pressured to use dry tire stock that led to tread separations. Firestone says the use of dry stock is against company policy. Art Modell tells the Beacon Journal he won't be attending Lou Groza's funeral in the morning. Despite their 40-year friendship, Modell says he believes he'd be a distraction. The Browns weren't up to it today in Jacksonville, losing to the Jaguars 48-0. I'm Cliff Bakley on Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
Continuing coverage coming up at the top of the hour. Bulletins at 1. News Radio, WTAM 1100.
There's nothing more exciting than the growth of a wise investment. Of course, there's little as disturbing as seeing your investment hit new lows in a volatile market, which is why now may be a good time to diversify with a high-yielding CD or money market account from E-Trade Bank. Call 1-888-594-BANK. Formerly known as Telebank, E-Trade Bank CD yields have consistently paid in the top 1% in the nation for 10 years running. Their money market accounts have consistently yielded double the national average, and these high-yield accounts are all FDIC insured. So how do they do it? E-Trade Bank does business by phone and internet rather than through costly branches. This keeps their expenses low and their interest rates high, all with the protection of FDIC insurance. Bull markets can come and they can go. Have some money safely earning high interest. Call E-Trade Bank now for a free rate quote and information kit. 1-888-594-BANK. That's E-Trade Bank. 1-888-594-BANK.
Casey Coleman once again for Free for Life, and it's been very gratifying to have many people call, email, and simply write and tell me how grateful they are that they discovered Free for Life. You know, Free for Life will get you off cigarettes, and it'll do it the right way. It'll do it between the ears, not the patch, not the gum. It's not the physical addiction, it's the mental addiction. If you order now, you can receive Free for Life for only $170 plus shipping and handling. That's less than a cost of a pack a day for 2 months. Hey, come on now. Stop committing suicide 7 minutes at a time. The number is 800-469-9959. 800-469-9959. And wouldn't it be a great gift for the smoker in your life, the person you love and want to be free for life? 800-469-9959. Become free for life. It's easy, and it costs you a lot less money right now than ever before, and just in time for the holidays. It's Free for Life.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
The Mike Trevisano Show.
See, I look at things different than people. I think Bill Gates deserves a statue. Bill Gates is a damn genius. He's a friggin' genius. Those are the people you reward.
I don't think Bill Gates deserves a tax cut.
I don't want to see Bill Gates get his tax cut. Why? He pays more taxes in 1 year than you're going to make in a lifetime. You should wish there was more Bill Gateses.
The Mike Trevisano Show.
I'm not in the mood for ignorance.
Weekdays at 3 on the Big One. News Radio WTAM 1100.
Rick Gilmour on News Radio WTAM 1100.
Dr. Seuss goes to Florida. Can we count them with our nose? Can we count them with our toes? Shall we count them with a band? Shall we count them all by hand? If I do not like the count, I will simply throw them out. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like them, Al Gore I am. Can we change these numbers here? Can we change them? Calm my fears. What do you mean W has won? This is not fair. This is not fun. Let's count them upside down this time. Let's count until the state is mine. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I'm really ticked. I'm in a snit. You have not heard the last of it. I'll count the ballots one by one and hold each one up to the sun. I'll count, recount, and count some more. You'll grow to hate this little chore, but I will not, cannot let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I won't leave office. I'm staying here. I've glued my desk chair to my rear. Tipper, Hillary, and Bubba, too, all telling me that I should sue. We'll recount the Electoral College. We'll find the Electoral College vial, recount the votes until I smile. We do not want this vote to stand. We do not like it, Al Gore I am. How shall we count this ballot box? Let's count it staining in our socks. Shall we count this one in a tree? And who shall count it, you or me? We cannot count enough. We must not stop. We must be tough. I do not want this vote to stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. I've counted till my fingers bleed and still cannot fulfill my counting need. I'll count the tiles on the floor. I'll count and count and count some more. And I will not say that I'm done until the counting says I've won. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it, Al Gore I am. What's that? What are you trying to say? You think the current count should stay? You do not like my counting scheme? It makes you tense, gives you bad dreams. Foolish people. You're wrong, you'll see. Your only care should be for me. I will not let this vote count stand. I do not like it. And Al Gore I am.
Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Who's in the White House? Bush, 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 Bush. Bush, 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 Bush.
Well, my song at least had words all the way through it. Maybe that was just meant to be bumper music or something like that. I'm Rick Gilmour. Here until midnight, and you can listen to Mike Siegel's Coast to Coast overnight, and then listen to Wills, Webster, and Coleman from 5 to 9. We'll find out maybe what in the world's going on in Florida if the judge, Sanders Sauls, finally releases some sort of decision. How about this story? A man who pulled over to help another driver in Pennsylvania received a stab for his efforts. Police say 20-year-old Leonard Schreck, pulled off Interstate 81 at the Mahoning Township Way Station to help a group of people he believed were stranded.
Instead of asking for help, one of the two men displayed a knife and demanded Shrek's wallet. Shrek handed over the wallet, and in a scuffle that followed, the thief stabbed Shrek in the thigh. The unidentified suspects fled in their vehicle, a late 90s blue or gray Geo Metro with New York plates. Well, that shouldn't be too hard to find, huh? This is why people never pull over and help anybody anymore. I see people stranded on the side of the road, and all I keep thinking of are those horror stories. You see a woman sitting in a car, and you think, gee, what if I pull up and there's 3 guys hiding in the bushes or ducking down? I do not own a cell phone. I do own a gun, but I just don't want to pull over and help anybody. And I also had a joke emailed to me at Gilly@WTAM.com. A man walks into his bedroom and sees his wife packing a suitcase. He says, "What are you doing?" She answers, "I'm moving to Las Vegas. I heard prostitutes there get paid $400 for what I do for you for free." Later that night on her way out, the wife walks into the bedroom and sees her husband packing his suitcase. When she asks him where he's going, he replies, "I'm going to Vegas too. I want to see how you live on $800 a year." Betty, you're on the big one.
Hi, Gilly.
How are you?
This is Betty, the geezerette from Paris that wants to adopt you.
Yes, I remember. This is Paris, Ohio.
Yes, yes. Anyhow, I've been listening, and it's such a pleasant surprise, like yesterday afternoon, to hear you. You just never know when you're going to pop up.
Well, that's true.
And I hardly ever watch TV anymore because it makes me want to throw things at Tom Brokaw and stuff like that.
Tom Brokaw, I'm just saying that. Yeah.
So,
Tom and I have something in common, though. We both have liquid L's.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Peter Jennings, any of them, you know.
Have you ever heard my liquid L's call?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And I've heard many other people say to me, I enjoy your liquid L's, and I'm thinking, is it that blaring of a speech impediment that one can hear it on the air?
Oh, well, it doesn't bother me. I think you're adorable.
Never bothered me. When I told that story in that phone call. When I was a little kid, a friend of mine's mother had a flat tire. And she said, "No, it's a flat tire." And I said, flat, what's the difference? It doesn't have any air in it. And that's the way I've thought ever since then. I mean, certain things in life are just common sense. But common sense, of course, died. You heard the obituary.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
You were calling about dogs and the election, it says here on the big board.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, I'm really happy that you and your fiancé are adopting this dog because I am a dog person. Now I like you even more.
Well, I've always been a dog person. It's not that I dislike cats. I just don't want one in my house.
Oh, well, I'm allergic to cats.
Well,
I like them, but...
She's allergic to cats, too.
Yeah. But if your dog turns out to be a problem, I've always had dogs, and this last one that I got about a year and a half ago, kind of a problem. She was abandoned, but anyway, was checking out different books at the library, and I found this one that I liked so much that I went and bought it. So if you have any behavior problems, remember this book. It's called Dogs Behaving Badly. Remember that TV show about... How is it?
Men behaving badly?
Yeah, well, this is dogs behaving badly.
Well, all I worry about is when, like, say she's not home right now and I'm not home right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that dog's going to do, and I do not think that my landlord, seeing as that it is his apartment that I live in, I do not think that he would give me a dog when he told me he did not want any dogs if that dog had torn up his house. I think he might have opened the door and let it out, too, but he was so attached to this creature that it obviously must be a very good dog, and it's really strange because this dog probably has had so much separation anxiety in its life, and the dog is almost... When I first met the dog, I would try to pet the dog's face and it would flinch.
Uh-huh.
And I think that probably indicates that and the dog was afraid of my voice, and I keep thinking, well, maybe that dog was hit by a man. Maybe a man owned that dog, and now the dog won't flinch. We gave the dog a bath, and
good.
But a friend of ours came over and spent a couple hours at the apartment, and then when she left, the dog acted as if the owner was leaving. I mean, you know what I'm saying? She gets very upset at that sort of thing.
Yeah, what is your dog's name?
The dog's name is Stella.
Stella.
Well, my landlord was calling her Rufus. Well, Rufus is no type of name for a female dog.
No.
So I thought Stella sounded good. You could say. And what movie was it? On the Waterfront, or was it Street?
No, let's see.
Or was it Streetcar Named Desire?
Yes. Marlon Brando.
And he says, Stella!
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, because see, I don't want, you have to be careful how you name your dog. Let's say you're wandering around in the summertime and your dog takes off and you have to go outside or go into a crowd of people, and if your dog is called I'm an idiot,
yeah,
and you're standing there going, I'm an idiot, I'm an idiot, come here.
Right.
So I figured Stella, I could go, Stella! I could stand there in my Italian wife beater t-shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's very good. Well, good luck with the dog. You just got to be careful not to leave shoes lying around, though, because I've lost a couple good pairs. That's what you got to guard against.
Oh, well, I wear my good pairs of shoes, and the other ones are on a shoe tree, so...
Oh, good. With the closet door closed, I hope. Okay, I just wanted to recommend this book. And then that guy that called you just before the 11 o'clock news made my, I don't know if you remember, it made my blood pressure go up so much that I just had to go down to the basement and do a load of laundry. I couldn't listen to it.
And which guy was that?
Oh, he was saying about how Rush had said...
Oh, things that he thought Rush Limbaugh was lying about.
Yeah.
Well, believe me, trust me on this. If you become popular, you are bound to have people who do not like you.
Yes.
And like Oscar Wilde used to say, better to be written about in a poor light than not at all.
I guess that's true.
And so even if people walk around and say to each other in the privacy of their home or out in public, say, you know, I can't stand that Rush Limbaugh, well, then maybe somebody else will say, gee, who are you talking about? And when is he on? He's on noon to Triv here on the big one, weekdays.
Oh, I know.
And I listen to Rush from a radio broadcaster's point of view, and I listen to him, and I know what his opinion is, so I don't need his opinion. I listen to him for information, and I listen to him for his delivery. I like to hear how the man delivers the news and the information that he has. And it's interesting to me that the most fascinating part of the program is when he's talking, not when he's taking phone calls. It's when he's doing a diatribe about something, and the man's quite good at what he does, and I don't think anyone can argue that the man has ability above and beyond that of the usual broadcaster.
Oh, yeah. Let me just run this past you. Does it make you angry when people keep calling George W. a dum-dum? Dumb. It really bothers me because, you know, like you did mention that he has an MBA from Harvard, and he flew fighter jets.
It's the same thing as the two girls, Brittany and Rachel, that I spoke of earlier. That Brittany telling me that she voted for Ralph Nader, and yet she had no clue as to what Ralph Nader was even famous for. And then she says Rush Limbaugh is a big fat a-hole. Well,
I know.
If you want to reduce someone's aura to a-hole and how much they weigh, well, consider the source, Betty. That's all you have to do.
That's right. That just showed you how smart they were.
That's right.
But
That's
anyway, congratulations on the dog. And I wish I had about an hour to talk to you. But I'll call you again because I have to tell you something about Bill Daley.
But Betty, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
Now you are slightly older.
Oh.
Now, this is
early 70s, honey.
Okay, well, there's an article that I found on the AP, and perhaps you can help me out. I'll read it to you, and then I'll ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
All metal lustrons that were produced in Columbus, Ohio after World War II as homes for returning soldiers are becoming extinct. About 2,500 of the steel homes were made in a Central Ohio factory from 1948 to 1950. At the time, they could be purchased for about $7,000 each. Only about 2,000 lustrons are still standing across the country. Unless preservationist efforts are successful, only 2 of a handful of surviving Boston area lustrons will be demolished soon. The all-metal homes could be erected quickly, cleaned on the outside with a quick wash and wax, and required only magnets to hang pictures inside. The homes were mass-produced to relieve the housing shortage that hit the nation immediately after the war. Have you ever seen a lustron?
If I saw a picture of one, I mean, did it look like a Quonset hut?
I have no idea.
Metal like that?
I don't believe so, but I was thinking, I have never heard of a steel home. I've never seen one, and I was reading this thinking that there must have been someone who knows what the heck these things are or what they looked like. I'd like to go see one before they rust out.
I'll be darned. Didn't show a picture,
No, no picture. No. So
that name, the name doesn't mean anything to me, but I know I grew up in Alliance, and that's where Mount Union College is, and they threw up a bunch of temporary, well, I don't know what you call them, things there, because they had a lot of servicemen coming in. They were Air Force guys, I believe.
Now, I do know that I remember the gas stations. Remember all gas stations used to have enameled panels on the outside? Early gas in the 60s and whatnot, you would see gas stations and they would have all these white square panels on them, and they were enameled steel. or enameled some type of metal, but those are gone now as well, and apparently the Lustron is soon to follow. And I have a caller. I'm going to move on, I guess.
Okay.
I have a caller who was going to, well, he was, and he hung up. He was going to tell me where a steel home is. I'd like to go see one.
Oh, well, I'd like to know, too.
Well,
if you find out, tell it on the air, and I'll check it out.
There you go. Keep listening.
Good talking to you.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Betty wants to adopt me. Well, I appreciate the offer, Betty, but I have a mom and a dad, so I don't need to be adopted. You can adopt me in spirit just by tuning in and listening to WTAM 1100. My schedule, where am I? I'm on all over the place, so just keep tuned in, all right? That's the best thing you can do. It's fairly written in stone that I'm on Sunday nights from 9 until midnight. And I know for the next few weeks I will be on Saturday afternoons from 3 until 5. And other than that, we have a lot of things going on around here. We really do. We have Hanford Dixon. We have Politicos on in for Dr. Laura and this and that. We have a lot of things going on. It's a busy radio station, but I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. Channel 3 weather from Marshall McPeak. Tonight, clear low 18. Tomorrow, a high of 38 under cloudy skies. Currently 21 degrees in Cleveland, 21. You're on the line. Be patient. I'll get to you.
Best of Mike Trevisano.
Those are
they're
baseball terms.
Now on compact disc.
It's the third time he's gone down today.
At Best Buys everywhere. WTAM 1100.
If you're looking for a unique gift of jewelry, only one jewelry store has 5 times the selection of ordinary stores. Jared, the Galleria of Jewelry, will amaze you with its holiday gift selection. The area's largest collection of independently certified diamonds, gold and platinum, exotic colored gemstones, and the finest Swiss timepieces. So you're more likely to find the perfect gift of jewelry at Jared. Plus, every day, our prices are lower than our competitors' sale prices. This Christmas and every day, Jared has hundreds of diamond bracelets, necklaces, and earrings to choose from. Diamonds set in yellow, white, or two-tone gold. And today's hottest fashion look, platinum. Prices range from under $100 to over $10,000. And Jared offers free financing for 1 year. Minimum purchase and minimum monthly payment required. Jared, located in Akron on Howe Avenue in front of the plaza at Chapel Hill and on West Market at Montrose Center.
There's nothing more exciting than the growth of a wise investment. Of course, there's little as disturbing as seeing your investment hit new lows in a volatile market, which is why now may be a good time to diversify with a high-yielding CD or money market account from E-Trade Bank. Call 1-888-594-BANK. Formerly known as Telebank, E-Trade Bank CD yields have consistently paid in the top 1% in the nation for 10 years running. Their money market accounts have consistently yielded double the national average, and these high-yield accounts are all FDIC insured. So how do they do it? E-Trade Bank does business by phone and internet rather than through costly branches. This keeps their expenses low and their interest rates high, all with the protection of FDIC insurance. Bull markets can come and they can go. Have some money safely earning high interest. Call E-Trade Bank now for a free rate quote and information kit. 1-888-594-BANK. That's E-Trade Bank. 1-888-594-BANK.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
News Radio, WTAM 1100.
No one taught tolerance in the classroom when I went to school. We learned it on the playground.
Sally Ride, professor, astronaut, former child.
Young kids today are fundamentally just the same as they've always been. They're curious, they're explorers, they're interested in things, they like to learn. We didn't have lessons on cooperation or talk about personal space. We were too busy dreaming about outer space. Childhood should be a time to grow, to discover, and imagine in such a way that all things are possible. That's how it should be. Child first, then the adult. You want your kids to be healthy, happy adults? Let them be children first.
Don't underestimate the power of play.
Still haven't grown up.
A message from the American Toy Institute.
Hi, I'm Nancy Kerrigan.
Remember what it's like to be a teen? It's a time when no one seems to understand you, when you're under constant pressure to fit in, and when your family sometimes can't help because it's just too difficult to talk about. If you really want to connect with your kids, call 1-800-448-3000, the Boys Town National Hotline, 24 hours a day. They're ready with help and advice when you need it most. They'll even send you a free booklet filled with practical parenting tips. The Boys Town National Hotline, because they know what it's like to be a teen.
I'm Dr. Laura Schlesinger. Bill, welcome to the program.
What's up?
Hi.
What's up?
What can I do for you? Sir?
What's up?
Don't say that, okay? I'm getting very confused. I have no idea what's going on. I really don't, sorry.
What's up? What's up?
Your question is to me. Okay. Tell you what, let me put you on hold.
Dr. Laura, weekdays at 9 a.m. on WTAM 1100.
That's none of
I'm on. I want to preview read it as well. Went in there and quick printed it, and I was talking about Lustron homes. I had no idea. We segued a little off of politics. I think a lot of folks are getting a little tired of this whole political thing. We'll find out in the morning what the decision is down in Florida, and then we'll know where we're going from there. Tom and Wycliffe, you know where a steel home is?
Yeah, Gilly, you're from Fairview, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, you know Mastic Road?
Yes.
Okay, you know where Grace intersects it?
Grace,
you know, when you're driving down Mastic from Fairview and you go past Shepherd's Hill?
Yeah, the problem is Grace doesn't go all the way across to...
But Grace hits Mastic, okay?
Grace hits Brook Park.
No, well, yes, it hits Brook Park.
Oh, I know, yeah, on the other, yeah, I know where you're talking. Okay, yes, I know exactly
the other side it hits Mastic, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, on the north side of Mastic, 4 houses west of Grace, there was a steel house there. I'm sure it's still there. That's where I grew up.
And that could be a Lustron.
Right. It had like a baked enamel finish on it. It was really strange.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to drive by tomorrow and take a look at it.
Yeah, it sets back a little further than the rest of the houses, but I'm sure it's still there.
I had never heard of Lustron homes, had no idea, and I thought, you know what with American landscape changing so ever constantly, I thought, nice to see a piece of history before they're all gone.
Yeah, it was a pretty strange place, and I guess they used to have them in Sears catalogs.
You could buy these things, and they'd come out and slap them together.
Yeah, a couple of engineers from NASA had it.
Would you? Wow, that's interesting. I got to run. I'm getting short on time, but thanks for the input. I'll go take a look.
All right, Gilly.
All right, yeah. I'll go take a... Would you want to live in a steel home during a thunderstorm? And there's lightning, and... I mean, I understand that lightning goes from the ground up, not from... I learned that from meteorologists. It still seems like kind of an odd place to live, doesn't it? I want to thank you for calling. I want to thank you for listening. I want you to listen to Mike Siegel's Coast to Coast overnight. I want to thank Steph for screening all the calls. And I want to thank Rob, the man who pulls the strings and pushes the buttons and dials. Keep it right here on Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
History in the making. Hear it live. Continuing in-depth team coverage of the 2,000 votes on News Radio, WTAM 1100.
Hi, Richard Karn here with a word about something great you can do for the environment. Recycle your old nickel-cadmium rechargeable batteries. If you've got a cordless phone, power tools, or a camcorder you don't use anymore, check the battery inside. If it's a NiCad, it can be recycled. To find the NiCad collection site nearest you, call 1-800-8-BATTERY. That's 1-800-8-BATTERY. Or visit us on the web at www.rbrc.org.
A message from RBRC, the Rechargeable Battery Recycling Corporation.
The best of Mike Trevisano.
Those are
they're
baseball terms.
Now on compact disc.
It's the 3rd time he's gone down today.
At Best Buys everywhere. WTAM 1100.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
Cleveland's only news radio. Your official weather station. The home of the Indians, Cavaliers, and Browns fans. This is the big one. Now, continuing coverage on News Radio, WTAM 1100, Cleveland.
The judge has heard the arguments over whether to allow more hand recounts and will sleep on it. Good morning. I'm Cliff Bakley. This is the Midnight Report on News Radio WTAM 1100. Details coming up. Channel 3 weather. Here's Marshall McPeak.
Mostly clear overnight and 18. Tomorrow, partly cloudy and 38.
Currently 21 degrees. The wind chill is 14 at your official weather station, News Radio WTAM 1100.
The 2,000 votes. Our in-depth team coverage continues right now.
A lengthy two-day hearing on 14,000 disputed ballots in Florida wrapped up a short time ago in Tallahassee. The Gore camp says it wants the ballots counted by hand. The Bush camp is against that. Bush attorney Barry Richards says there's no reason to.
There is no proof of any problems. There is nothing but two witnesses with speculation. There's no evidence which is sufficient to overturn the count.
Judge N. Sanders Sauls.
It was a case well tried and argued. And I suppose what I should do at this time, we're going to take it under submission, and I will give you a decision in the morning.
Al Gore says the judge's decision will not be the final word, and both sides know it.
Whatever happens, both sides know that it's going to end up in the Florida Supreme Court.
Gore made his comments on CBS's 60 Minutes. Paul James, ABC News.
The father of murdered 3-year-old Danielle Brantley is in police custody at this hour. Police Lieutenant Sharon McKay says family members tipped off the cops.
Homicide unit called the zone car. Zone car responded to the area and located Mr. Young at 636 East 96th Street.
Young was taken to Meridia Huron Hospital and treated for neck wounds. Police aren't saying that Young is a suspect in his daughter's death. She was stabbed Thursday night in a Shaker Boulevard apartment and died on Saturday. 2 astronauts have attached the world's largest set of solar wings to an international space station. The shuttle astronauts did that job Sunday during a spacewalk with help of a Canadian astronaut operating a robot arm from inside the shuttle Endeavour. And while the current mission seems to be a success, our Paul Cox takes a look back at a NASA failure a year ago.
It was a bitter disappointment. The probe, which was supposed to answer big questions about the red planet, instead became part of it. It crashed. 1 year ago today, scientists had been so excited, gave up hope, and went back to engineering the next mission. So what happened? NASA Glenn researcher Jeffrey Landis says it may have come down to cost cutting.
I think what most people are believing now is they went a little bit too far in trying to make it cheap.
NASA tries again next April with a new Mars orbiter. Paul Cox, News Radio WTAM 1100.
Here's a football success story. Our Levon Putney was there Sunday for the celebration for the state champion Olmsted Falls Bulldogs.
Hundreds of Bulldog fans packed the gym stands to salute their varsity squad after they brought home Olmsted Falls' first ever state title. John Vass stood holding his baby son, Sam.
Incredible. Played here 12 years ago. Been back to as many games as I can. Played under Coach Ryan his first year as a head coach. Just an incredible staff, incredible community, and a great team. Come on, say touchdown.
Little Sam's well on his way. Levon Putney, News Radio WTAM 1100.
In a major attempt to corner the sports drink market, soft drink giant PepsiCo reportedly has agreed to buy Quaker Oats Company for $13.4 billion in stock. Quaker produces Gatorade. Channel 3 weather is next. It's 12:04 at News Radio WTAM 1100.
2020 sports. The Fred Taylor Express ran up 181 yards on the Browns and scored 3 touchdowns. Jacksonville won it 48-0. They outgained the Browns 449 yards to 53 and had 28 first downs compared to only 2. Since that touchdown against Baltimore, the Browns have been outscored 92-0. Baseball, the Rockies have signed lefty Denny Nagel to a 5-year, $51 million deal. They're not done yet. Dan O'Dowd is now setting his sights on Mike Hampton. Mark Schwab, News Radio WTAM 1100.
Is your old car a burden? It may be to you, but for others it could be a great help. Why not consider donating your car to the L'Chaim Society? L'Chaim means to life. The L'Chaim Society helps people improve their lives with educational and outreach programs for adults, families, children, adolescents, and the elderly and infirm. Call 1-800-288-7799 and they'll come pick up your car. It's that easy. It doesn't matter the condition of your car. They'll even tow it away free of charge. In exchange, you'll get a tax-deductible receipt for the fair market value of your car. You might find that you save more money in taxes by donating your car than you could make by trying to sell it yourself. And best of all, it's hassle-free. Call 1-800-288-7799.
Take this opportunity to help others and possibly save money on your taxes. Call 1-800-288-7799. 24 hours a day, 1-800-288-7799. They're waiting for your call. Do it today.
Live Doppler radar. Accurate, in-depth team winter storm coverage. Cleveland's official weather station. News Radio, WTAM 1100.
Channel 3 weather, here's Marshall McPeak.
Overnight, the high pressure that we've had the last day or so sticks around, so we'll have mostly clear skies and a cold low down to 18. Bundle up if you have to be out overnight. Then Monday, partly cloudy skies as you head back to work and a high up to 38 degrees.
At your official weather station, fair skies and 21 degrees. The wind chill's 14. I'm Cliff Bakley on Cleveland's only news radio, WTAM 1100.
Continuing coverage in less than 30 minutes. Now, Dreamland on News Radio WTAM 1100.
From deep within the bowels of the premier radio networks and worldwide on the internet, you're listening to Dreamland with Whitley Strieber on the premier radio networks.
At the edge of reality, there lies an unknown country, a realm of mirrors and truths and the unexpected. If you dare not travel in this country, then we urge you to turn off your radio now. But if you hunger for high adventure and life at the scenes in this wild and crazy election, Linda's going to be with us at her new time in just 2 hours from now. She's going to be talking about a leak from the Indian Space Research Organization. Scientists are studying an unknown strain of bacteria that has been found at an altitude of 10 miles by an Indian sounding balloon. She has an interview with the scientist who found it, and it could be the first life form found from another world. What is it doing in our atmosphere? We'll find out all of these things tonight. It's going to be a night of great information. This is Whitley Strieber. It's Dreamland, and we'll be back.
Would you like to look and feel 10 years younger in 10 weeks? Well, there's proof that aging can be slowed down and even reversed with HGH, the human growth hormone. Now, you've heard about the incredible age-reversing benefits of HGH, and according to thousands of studies, higher HGH levels can help you look and feel younger. Now, it's a natural formula, Ultimate HGH, and it helps boost your body's own production of HGH, which is designed from the research in the book 10 Weeks to a Younger You by Dr. Ronald Klatz. If your goal is to help improve your energy and stamina, maybe to lose unwanted fat, or to diminish those wrinkles, to enhance your memory, your immune function, and your vision, then Ultimate HGH is for you. And when you order 2 bottles, you get the third absolutely free. That's about $33 a month, a tremendous saving off the typical $100 a month for comparable products. And you receive the amazing book, 10 Weeks to a Younger You by Dr. Ronald Klatz. It's a $20 value, absolutely free. So call now. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. 1-800-557-4627. That's 1-800-557-4627. 4627.
Commercials are more believable when real customers give a testimonial. So on the line with me is Karen Ellis, a Geico Auto Insurance customer. Karen, give us a testimonial.
Well, of all the canned peaches I've tried, I think the ones in heavy syrup are the best. They're just good.
There, a testimonial from a real live Geico customer who could save 15% or more on car insurance. Call 1-800-943.